Welcome to Stratosphere 124. Hello, hello. Yes, it's me, Amberdoodle. I'm back to commentating after a little hiatus. Hope y'all are doing a fantastic day. We've got a pretty interesting bracket today. We got some pretty cool people. We got Blarg. We got Shark, OSW, Cold, and many more. What's not to like? So yeah, we've also got some more popular lower ranked players relatively. We got Meme Lord Genta. We got okay. Wait, who else is in here? I'm just like focused on Meme Lord Genta. Okay. Like, if that's not drawing you to this tournament, I don't know what else there is. Like, we got Blarg, sure, but honestly, like, who cares? Just focus on this Gianta's run. Oh. Alright, so, first match, as I was saying, we've got Genta versus Tizago, a pony right now, actually, Queen Chrysalis. Pretty even matchup, I'd say. Even though it kind of looks like Tizago is a decent bit lower ranked, with a little bit lower stats, she could definitely pull through here. Only 3 seeds below Genta. We also see that Genta is definitely going to be a bit of an opener main. I think I haven't seen Genta play this season. But from what I remember, this guy is like an SDPC menace. And Tizago is like diabolical clean mid game. So we might see some like opener main versus mid game like shenanigans here, where it's like if Tizago ever gets it to pass the opener phase, Genta just gets cooked. But like you've got to get it to got to get it past the opener phase, or it's like yes, nice 40 spike, 10 seconds in. Yeah. We also see, pretty interesting, they're actually even speed. So I'd definitely say Genta is a little more like, a little more efficient. But into the warm-up. Let's see how these players are going to start things off. We got, I have no idea what that is on Tizago's board. We see Genta just starting out some nice T-spins, getting that back up. While Tizago finding these nice little overstacks. Doing a little bit of all spins, while Genta's just staying low on the board, playing slow, still and steady. We see Genta just building and then sending. Yeah, Genta just waiting on that surge. Not really much you could have done there on Tiz's side with how much surge he had at that point. It would be interesting if Genta just continues his gameplay. Although it is just the warm up, so it could definitely like change later on in the game. All right, into the game. So are we gonna see like, we're gonna see the SDPC come out? No, we're gonna see. Okay, Genta. Okay, Genta. We see Among Us opener from Genta. Just, you know, in tournament, automatically gets punished. I mean, like, I don't know what else he expected. It's not like this is a super unfair matchup. On to the next round. Okay, we see the little bit of opener maining. Attempted PCO gets canceled by this SDPC spin from Tizago. Okay, Tizago doing the fancy schmancy overhang. Has to break. This you just gotta break. She's gotta break here. While Genta continues to keep stacking, building up that back-to-back. Is that 4? Can break, and oh no. Tizago just not really in a good position right there. It gets the IP stuck. It just can't rotate it over. Alright, we've got a mirror match if I've ever seen one. Extended versus misdrop SDPC spin. Surely there's no way to fumble this, right? Oh, Tazago just misdrops the opener, not able to finish it out, but is able to recover as Jinta has some modern art on his board. Really needs to find this out right now. Well, Tazago fishes for the kill, but is not able to find it. Getting out just in time to not die to Jinta getting out of their interesting modern art stack. You see Jinta at the bottom of the board, just building up that pressure. And that's it. We see neither player is really using Surge. It's more just this just feels like a season 1 game, I'd say. Surge isn't really having a prominent role in these games right now. We see Tazago with this extended, really nice garbage, but she misdrops, takes advantage of it anyways, and Jinta is looking for what he gets out, looking like he might be out, but still in danger. Tazago is fishing for that kill again. Gets a surge, doesn't really do anything with it though. All right. Jinta's got this clean board. Surely gets something out of it, right? All right, gets that nice 17 spike. I don't know if it's gonna really do anything because look at this board. Tazago is just gonna tank it and start going down using all this clean garbage. And even though Jinta gets that 8 surge, it doesn't really do anything again. We're seeing a lot of these early surge breaks. I don't know how to feel about that. All right, we see Jinta. Jinta's one off of the surge and also one off of the spike. As Tazago just takes advantage, doing a little combo action to top out Jinta. All right, we get mini spin opener. I don't know what else to call that. Like attempted. What is this, Tazago? Tazago just all these misdrops, not able to get out in time. We're seeing a little bit of misdrop action in this set. Hopefully this does not become like a pattern. All right, that was a nice PC, quick 2 PC from Jinta, but Tazago is gonna show what happens when you try to use PCs in a nerfed PC meta. And Jinta just immediately gets counter spiked, does not have the correct pieces, and is dead. Just dead. There's nothing you can really do there. This is why you can't really use PCs as well anymore, because there's this point where they just don't send enough. They send just the right amount for you to get screwed over by them. On like the counter spike, especially as you get higher. We see Tazago with those misdrops in the beginning, trying to get down right now. Able to find it. Jinta breaks surge, and look at this. The surge does absolutely nothing because they're breaking so early, right? And Tazago finding a way out, making these all spins to build up that surge. It looks like though with that board state, oh, that was a nice dono. But with this board state, I don't know how long Tazago's gonna be able to keep the surge. Forced to break on the top. Yeah, just a little too greedy from Tazago. Jinta just striding out some APM to take them out. All right, we see extended versus SDPC spin yet again. Jinta obviously doing regular SDPC spin, cracking it first. And Tazago is just not ready in time with the extended. This is the problem with extended. You know, you spend so long building, you can never send. So if your opponent uses SDPC spin, you know, you just get cooked because you're kind of caught lacking in the middle of your stack. I see both players here did SDPC spin. Tazago probably going, yeah. Just saw that my extended didn't work like 3 times in a row. Maybe I should just use normal SDPC spin. Even though Tazaga's a little high on the board right now, it's looking okay because Jinta just doesn't have any pressure on hand. Okay, Tazago with now a clean board while Jinta is all cheesed up. Lots of nice gooey mozzarella right now. That's a perfect well, but Jinta just does not have the eyepieces to get down in time. All right, we see no early O, so we're gonna see misdropped MS2 or some tangential opener to that from Tazago. Jinta's just building up the back-to-back. They tend to really favor that, don't they? Okay, Tazago with a bit of greed, wasting eyepiece while in eyepiece like drought, eyepiece famine. All right, okay, Jinta breaks Surge again. We're seeing a lot of these like Surges just go to waste because these players, I don't know, they're like, oh, I could totally kill this person right now. And yeah, no, you're not. And we see Jinta suffer for it, get cooked, and top out from those misdrops. All right, we're seeing SCPC spin versus SDPC spin. Literally mirror. Okay, Tazago tanking. We're seeing a bit of macro play here. Yeah, too greedy. Oh, whoa, never mind. I stand corrected. Tazago getting out just in time with a nice piece RNG. All right, we see both players kind of in neutral. You know, my favorite part of the game. Not really even doing anything. Not really building. Jinta breaking back-to-back at 3, and yeah, no. Tazago misdropping into modern art. Quite unfortunate. All right, early O back. Are we gonna see? Yep, another SCPC spin versus extended again. No, that's not extended. It's like Tazago. She's using the extended base to upstack, but misdrops, and that's just unfortunate. Jinta hitting a black flash 31 spike. And it's just cooked for Tazago. GG's. We saw there. Okay, here's my analysis of that match. That match in general. Neither player could build to any kind of meaningful surge, so it just became who got the better RNG downstack. I don't know. That's just kind of season 2 core, I guess, with this like +1 garbage sends. So like if you can't get surge, your next best thing to kill people is just to downstack until they die, because if you upstack, you know, you're just giving them that free garbage, right? And when you clear garbage lent, it's like +1 if you do back-to-back with it. So like if you just start like churning out those garbage quads and garbage T-spins, it's like yes, 30 spike from like 3 cents. And it's ridiculous. So if you can't surge, I mean, fair enough. Yes, Dingo, Drip Quagsire, it's back. We are no longer Twilight Sparkle. I've had my month in prison cosplaying Twilight Sparkle, and we're back to Amberdoodle. Yeah, speaking of Twilight Sparkle, do we have? It was Tazago our only pony? No. We have Twilight Sparkle in this tournament. We do have another pony. You know, my Twilight Sparkle essence lives on in Twilight Sparkle. Trust. So, well, looking for our next matchup. Who do we have? Well, I mean, I'm looking at the bracket right now. We've got some pretty cool matches. We got like We got like my goat Jinta versus Flying Diarrhea. Jinta always wins. Meme Lord galore. We've got like these close matchups with Winterfrost and Lilier. Is there pretty peak? Okay. We've got Morsay versus Winterfrost as our next matchup. Okay, this is like probably gonna be like one of the closest games this tournament. They're practically the same TR. Morsay does have better stats, but I know Winterfrost. Winterfrost can definitely like come back from this. Like, this is not real Winterfrost stats. Those who know. 134, 270. That's kind of fake. I am kind of questioning this 3.3 PPS from Morsay though. I don't understand this non-X plus 3.3 PPS. Is this like old Strider? I'm guessing like, you know, like 22 striding, or it's just pure speed. Definitely be an interesting matchup because Winterfrost definitely tends towards like more Palanque macro. All right, so into the warm-up, we've got early OBAC. So if we're gonna see SDPC, it's gonna be now. We're gonna see one person. No one doing it. We're seeing. I have no idea what that opener is. I think that's Mr. like. I'm not gonna say the name because I'm gonna flub it. But that opener, the one that, yes. All right, it doesn't work because Morsay just goes 3.6 PPS and says no. All right, cool warm up. I mean, Winterfrost did kind of misdrop though. I actually can't tell if that was a misdropping or that was piece RNG. I would assume that was a misdrop. But Morsay definitely just capitalizing. All right, into the set. We see another early O bag. Morsay with PCO finds the PC. Winterfrost finding a nice garbage well. Okay. Maybe a little greedy with it, but Winterfrost finding these nice. Those are misdrops. Never mind. Nice. I'm sorry. I commentator cursed you. All right, we see Winterfrost misdropping as Morsay just keeps up the pressure. Yeah, okay, we see here, again, neither player is building up Surge. So the person who's going to win is the person who, A, is faster at downstacking, or B, gets more RNG downstacks. Okay, Morsay building up. I think that was a missed downstack, but, you know, it's chill because Morsay is still alive, finding this nice back-to-back as Winterfrost is kind of struggling to keep up with the speed. 3.5 PPS from Morsay, approaching 3.6, and only getting faster as the set goes on. All right, Winterfrost though is completely like, bro does not care. He's just going down, getting away from danger. As Morsay is just trying to like find these, not really building up back to back, just trying to find these short spikes, non-surge spikes. Oh, that's a misdrop from Winterfrost. It's okay though. Winterfrost does find it out, using some all-spins to fix the board. Okay, Morsay, either Morsay's gonna die here or he's gonna find the most diabolical spike, you know, or, you know, he's just not gonna do anything. All right. We see yet more opportunities for both players. Oh, this is a nice build up for Winterfrost. Doesn't really find anything with it though. Morsay, okay, Morsay is slowly building up the back-to-back. All right, 7, 8, okay. We see breaking at like 8, but it doesn't really do anything again. Oh. Ah, we see though that follow-up did do something, taking out Winterfrost. All right. TKI from Morsay. We're going to see some LST action maybe. All right, we are seeing LST action. Winterfrost doing some greedy spins, waiting to the last second for an absolute maximum tanking. I don't know if it's going to pay off though, because Morsay Oh, yeah. Oh, did pay off. Morse one piece off of the down stack. Pretty lucky for Winterfrost. If Morse had hit that, that would have been a absolutely ridiculous spike with all that garbage. All right, Winterfrost building up some quick back-to-back just as Morse builds it. Why are you? Okay, Morse with that 8-1 stack. Okay, finds that well though, opens the well, continuing to stack up. Well, okay, Winterfrost misdrops again, and it's just dead. Morse has, what, 7 back-to-back, 180 APM. All right. This is a way bigger speed difference than I anticipated. Morse is, like, playing out of his mind right now with this 3.6 stride. It doesn't matter if he doesn't keep back-to-back, if he just, you know, hits every single down stack. Alright, Winterfrost has got a good board. Okay, here's my opinion. You see how Winterfrost just completed like his like multiplier spike, right? So if Morse hadn't misdropped there, that would have been not the play. Because this guy, right, if you use all your material like that, and you know, Morse just immediately hits that big spike again, like he's usually doing this set, Winterfrost gets cooked. If like the optimal play here is to just hold on to your garbage, like hold on to your resources as much as you can, especially in this season where like Surge is so random. All right, breaks, good 19, forces Morse to break 2. Winterfrost is fine. Ooh, I don't know how to feel about this stack right now on Winterfrost's side, because Morse is just gonna continue to stride out back-to-back at 3.5, and Winterfrost doesn't really have anything to attack back with. Ooh, access to the well. Okay, Morse hits the 20 spike, and Winterfrost does not have access to his well. Just perfect timing for Morse. Alright, we see TKI mirror match. Winterfrost in a bit of a rut with this TKI. Morse continuing to build up back-to-back. Already at 6 back-to-back. Breaks immediately as I say that. Alright, Winterfrost at 6 back-to-back. Forced to break. Because Morse hit a pretty crazy down stack burst. Alright. Winterfrost accesses the well again. Doesn't really turn it into clean, just kind of tries to cheese up Morse. Or maybe he just doesn't see a down stack. Okay, we see this SCSD, but this is so greedy for, yeah, Winterfrost just greeting with that, with the SCSD, not the play, as Morse has this very consistent pressure. Okay, Morse with UI metal at 3.9. It might work because Winterfrost misdrop. My day is ruined. All right, we see UI metal beat out. We see UI metal work in Tetrio. This is something I never thought I'd see. All right. We see it yet again. Is this like, am I watching TEC play gameplay disguised as Tetrio? Is this what this has come to? All right, Winterfrost does have some surge though. All right, 8 surge. Continuing to build that surge. Okay, needs to keep building the surge. Breaks and immediately gets punished. Okay, that was a decent game. I will say though, we got another demonstration of keep your resources. Like, okay, the second Winterfrost broke, he died. Like, broke, just use all of his resources in a spike, and Morse, you know, like he had been doing the entire set, just said, yummy garbage, let me just immediately go down and kill you. I call it UE metal for UI metal cannon. Resource managing my beloved. I'm not gonna call it by the MMC, the MMC community's name for it, But yes, resource management. Those who know, those who know. Yeah, I don't know. UI Metal, it's a little bit unnerving to see UI Metal work, given I've dropped people to U rank by telling them to do it. But, you know, we're not going to talk about that. So, yeah, I will say it's a little interesting to see the, you know, after not commentating for like season, I don't think I've ever commentated for season 2, so commentating for season 2 has been interesting. Because you've got like, especially when it comes to like non-top 5 gameplay, where it's like, okay, these people know what they're doing, and then you give them Surge, and they start making like these decisions that are like, I need this Surge number to go up. Let me make like 3 all spins, ruin my board, and die after I break Surge. Alright, because Surge, I'm gonna be honest, is really not that strong. It's like, okay, you get a one-time usage where you get to send however much back-to-back you had, but if you're like the same speed, you're gonna have the same Surge, so it's not really gonna do anything if you don't like use it properly. And we also see like with the past 2 matches where we have basically no Surge usage, or like if they get Surge, it's not even the reason they get kills or get killed. It's usually just normal stacking, which I guess is fair enough. But hopefully we'll get to see some deep Surge abusing later in the tournament, possibly. I'm not saying that like those past 2 matches like played badly. They played well. It was just like, it's just specifically the Surge usage was like not peak. But yes, Freyho, the OJ brain rot does go hard. I'm having to refrain myself from using his terms because I don't think I should do that on stream. I don't think that's a very good idea. The community is not ready. Ors actually came up with that one like 3 years ago. Still okay. I don't really think it matters who came up with it. I just think the very idea of it like permeating the community is just not a good idea. We have enough brain rot as it is. We've already got 727 anywhere but a tournament stream. Exactly. Like if it was anything else, it would be okay. I wonder, do we have any like crazy beefs in this tournament? I don't think we do. It's just pretty average. We do have the brothers. We do have Cold, and we do have Flying Diarrhea. That'll be an interesting match if it happens. For those who don't know, Cold and Flying Diarrhea / Shark are brothers. And I don't know, I don't understand how they like lucked out and we just got like 2 brothers who are just diabolically goated at Tetria, but we do. It's kind of crazy. We also see Blarg in this tournament, which has been interesting. I've seen a lot of Blarg play this season. I haven't really seen. I am Cold's biggest hater. That guy was my Gestrous demon. Okay, well now he's my Tetrio demon, okay? Cold is, I don't know, y'all like bullied Cold too much. He locked in and now he's like actually really good. Oh? Okay, we've got Cold versus Twily. You know, speaking of Cold, we've got him right here. This is a pretty big. Okay. We have a pretty, it doesn't look, you know, you see C4, C5. This doesn't look like a big matchup difference, but like, we have to remember, first of all, Cold is underranked. He doesn't play TL. Number 2 is, look at the stats. Like, okay, Twily has really strong efficiency, but Cold also has strong efficiency, just way faster. I don't know. I think like if there's a matchup Twilight does not want, it's probably this Cold matchup because Cold will just feed on your clean. Bro is a cheese demon. and he's slow too, so he doesn't really misdrop. So there's not, you can't really just take advantage of like him misdropping because it's not gonna happen. He's just not gonna misdrop. I mean, then again, we do have Twily with the pony buff. You know, the fabled pony buff, automatic plus 400 TR in tournament. You know, but I don't even know if like I think Cold might just aura diff through that. Like, okay, hear me out. Cold has the most crazy aura. I don't get it. Like, first of all, he's got the name. We got the name Coldless. Hello, it does not give you aura. Bro's got a Piplup profile picture. He's almost 3 PPS flat in like high X plus. And Bro's playstyle is just like, you're just gonna like misdrop, and I'm gonna kill you, and you're not gonna misdrop. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna kill you anyway. And then Twily's got this like slow, methodical playstyle, but it also has like, it's really weird because it doesn't really have really insane macro. It's like instead of macro, it's like Twily just has really, really good stacking decisions instead of really strong macro. I think the world would be in danger if Twily learned like a little bit more burst speed, not even necessarily flat speed, just burst speed, and like a little bit more of like macro. I think we'd have like a pseudo CZ on our hands if that ever happened. Dude kind of plays like Vince L. Not gonna lie. Well, I've never seen Vince L play, but I'll take your word for it. Yeah. I think it'll be pretty interesting to see this. We get this warm up started. All right, we got an early O. You know, okay, Cold. I'm kind of pissed off because Cold picked up SDPC spin because of me, and I don't like it. Because every time I see it, I'm just like, you know, I was the guy who made this, and I'm just like, why did I do this? He's like becoming better at it than me, and it's kind of sad. All right, we see this warm up. Cold just doing some fancy all spins. Twily also doing the nice fancy all spins, keeping the back-to-back. They're playing an absolutely blistering 2.3 PPS. Both players really thinking about, you know, where they're placing their pieces, trying to get maximal value. Although you can see here that Cold is definitely a little bit better at keeping the cheese on the board, you know, tanking the clean, canceling the cheese. Because, I mean, look at the difference in boards. We see Twily, like, cheesed up to hell. And Cold right there, just able to take advantage of that. And there's our warm-up. I wonder why you made him learn that opener, CM Dingo. Okay, just because he lost, you know, a few times to specifically that opener does not mean you need to copy my whole flow, you know? All right, you know, after that warm-up, while I think Twily has a decent chance, if Cold just, you know, I mean, Cold literally just out efficiency. Nobody puts tape over their opponent's board and plays fast anymore. This is what liberalism has done to our game. This is so cooked. We're all cooked. This is just efficiency maxing. What is this? I'm telling you, this is turning into TEC. I can copy you, except being invincible in terrible board states. You just gotta gain more aura, Dingo. Don't worry. All right, into the match. Okay, STPC spin from Cold. He's gonna do the funny continuation. Okay, that's a crazy C spin. Twily, that's a misdrop. That's a misdrop. And Cold has 11 back-to-back, and is just going to keep going. All right, Twiley using the all spins to find a nice solution. Got Surge of their own to try and cancel Cold, but Cold's going to hit this like 38 spiker, if I can do math correctly. And yeah, no. Sorry, Twiley, you're just not going to survive that. Yeah, we're seeing Cold. He's doing a little bit of resource management. Just waiting until he gets pushed up to the top and then just sending it all in one humongous burst. Solid strategy if you can't really out efficiency your opponent. All right, we see Twiley. See here, look. Twiley just used all of their resources. No surge. Okay, well, Cold breaks. But look at this. Twiley is so cheesed up. Finds the way out, though. Okay, that was actually a pretty nice solve from Twiley. Now they're the ones with the surge advantage. Look at this. Perfect clean. Twiley continuing to preserve that back-to-back. Tankin, break surge. It doesn't matter, though, because Cold is also in a nice board position. And now Twiley, cheesed up, has to waste the eyepiece. Oh, and this is not good. Yeah, Twiley just too slow. Twiley's playing so nice. Yes, exactly. That's what I mean. Where Twiley's has this immaculate board shaping and stacking and all spin and vision. And then they just get cooked in the macro. All right, look. We see Cold keeping that surge. All right, we see Cold not maybe just brain farted for a second there. Okay, surely yes. Okay, Twiley spots that Cold has gotten himself into a bit of an oopsie and breaks. Twiley needs Westo training. Okay, but here's the thing: if Twiley goes faster, Twiley will no longer stack like Twiley. That's the thing. All right. Okay, we see Cold building up that back-to-back. Okay, look, he's stacking like over this. Well, okay, maybe that was just a mistake. I don't know. I don't think that was resource management on Coldless side. But regardless, okay, Twiley building up this back-to-back. Nice tucks. Okay, misses the bigger spike. Cold is gonna tank and dies. Is too slow. I think Cold just waited a little too long on that tank. All right, we see Coldless again, pushing up Twiley, building up their own. Oh, that was a fancy setup. We see Cold building up that surge as Twiley, because of Cold's extra speed differential, we're seeing Twiley being forced to just randomly break sometimes. And Cold is just able to unimpose, build up surge, and just break it whenever he feels like it. And yeah, it just takes out Twiley right there. Right. Twiley, oh, finds a nice C-spin. It's a little awkward afterward, but gets that 27 spike. I don't think Cold is ready for that, but Cold manages to find the down stack anyway, Season 2, unkillable. Alright, but Twiley, nice surge advantage, breaks, and just keeps stacking. Yeah, Cold not prepared for that spike. Could have gotten to that well, but just did not have the time. Alright, SCPC versus TKI. Or SCPC spin, okay. Cold misdrops, that is a misdrop, I know for sure. Alright. But does it matter? No, it doesn't, because even though Twiley does have material, Cold is just gonna receive this nice garbage. Alright, finding these down sack solves. But Twiley rapidly building up that surge, breaks in a 20 and 30 spike. Yeah, and Cold does not have the eyepieces needed to get out of that. All right, early again. We're gonna see STPC spin. We're seeing Twiley kind of almost not dominate, but definitely hold his own during this set. All right, Cold building up that surge. Beautiful stack, but oh no, that's a really nice break from Twiley. Catching out Cold perfectly. Oh, that's unfortunate. Twiley had the nice well, but Coldless had perfect, I mean, perfect stacking right there with the up stack. Outspeeding beautifully. All right, we see Cold overstacking to build these spikes to try and knock Twiley out of his surge. It succeeds. Twiley has no surge, but has a very nice well right now. Now Twiley's being forced to play it safe to try and prepare for Coldless's eventual inevitable surge break. 21 surge. Cold is milking the surge for all it's worth. Oh, wait. Okay, Cold breaks at the 20 spike. It's not going to kill. Cold also in a bad position and immediately dies. All right. I'm going to be real here. Cold, that last little surge right there was completely, like, unnecessary. And what killed him wasn't... It was that last, like, ruining of the board to get that 21 surge instead of 20 surge is what really did him in. All right, we see Twiley building up. Getting that back-to-back has forced to break it because of Cold's pressure. All right, Cold with a 28 spike. Is Twiley gonna survive? Oh, Twiley survives, but can't survive the follow-up. All right, very even. First to two. TEC reference, maybe. All right, we see Twiley with classical STPC versus Cold's STPC spin. Okay, Cold, this is a little greedy, but he finds the out. Both players break. Very neutral position, except Cold is a little high on the board, but Twiley's just Twiley is just not able to find the kill there. Oh, that was a fancy spin, but it does not help matters when Cold hits a black flash like 20 spike out of nowhere. Match point for Cold. Cold starting to pick up the stride. Twiley switches again to STPC Classical. And, oh, Twiley does an early break. Cold, unfazed. Although he is very cheesed up right now, but Twiley with the misdrops. All right, we see Cold back with this. Ooh, that was a nice eye spin. Twiley with these continual misdrops needs to get out of this rut quickly before Cold picks up the pressure again. Oh, this is a fancy spins it up 23 spike, and Cold has, oh, that's not a good board state. Cold is completely screwed with this like self-made cheese, and we are now in tiebreaker. All right, early O bag. We're gonna see Cold go for this SCPC spin. Twiley is just gonna go for some basic spins, basic T spins. Yes, we're gonna see Cold trying to overrun Twiley. Is not able to do so though. These early surge breaks not really doing anything to Twiley. Twiley does a little bit of macro, trying to tank and cancel perfectly. Although Cold is building, Cold building up the surge. Cold finds the downside 25 spike, and that's the game. Okay, beautifully played. I will say beautifully played by Twiley, but Cold was just a little too fast for Twiley to really truly overcome, especially at that last point. Yes, that was a weird Twilight DS decision. I was gonna talk about that. Where I think Twilight missed the down stack slightly. Possibly could have survived. I'm not completely sure, but I think that's the case. But anyhow, we might see a rematch in the losers bracket later on. Okay, so first of the top 8 matches. Flying Diarrhea versus OSW. 24.4k versus quote-unquote 23.9. Okay. Yeah, quote-unquote 23.9k. I would say I haven't seen OSW play recently, but if he's playing anything like he played in like season 1, he's definitely in contention for like top 15. I've heard he plays a bit interesting with these like he plays like a 24.3k at least. Yeah, he's like top 15 is what I said. So realistically, although, okay, to be fair, this is Flying Diarrhea. This guy is like a complete menace. He just, you know, casually loses like some diabolical matchup that he should have won and then beats like, I don't know, beats Caboozled Pie in tournament. All right, into the warm-up. We're gonna see Flying Diarrhea with this TKI OSW. Okay, OSW a little bit slower right now, possibly because, you know, it's warm up, so we're not going to see, you know, full potential, except maybe Flying Diarrhea might with this 3.8 PPS. Finding these all spins, that's a little greedy. It doesn't matter because, you know, Flying Diarrhea has 3.7 PPS, so, you know, it doesn't matter if he makes a greedy stacking decision. OSW goes down in the warm-up. Coldless almost got outplunked. Yeah, okay. If there's anyone who's gonna outplonk you, it's gonna be Twilight. Let's be honest. You kind of have to be good at plonking if you're going like 2.5 regularly. All right, into the game. This PCO upstack from Flying Diarrhea. It's just, this is just normal upstack for OSW. Let's be real here. Flying Diarrhea finding these cool spins to get out. OSW is greeting out of his mind. Okay, here's what's the problem right now, I think, with OSW. OSW is like greed master. Here's the issue. Greeting is like not the play in this season. If you're like at the top of your board with misdrops, because you will die. All right, we see OSW striding with 5 PPS, best Westel impression, and just absolutely obliterating Flying Diarrhea, who just not able to keep up. All right, TKI from both sides. Immediately we see the difference in stacking. Flying Diarrhea continuing while OSW finding, okay, good tank from Flying Diarrhea. Nice macro play while going like 4.3, but it doesn't matter because OSW hits a Black Flash 29 spike. Down spike is so powerful in this season, especially when you're like this fast. With no surge. Oh, that's not good. Flying Diarrhea kind of in a lack for eyepieces, but OSW with the diabolical misdrops. Modern art in his own right. All right, TKI from both sides. OSW faster, but Flying Diarrhea. Looks like Flying Diarrhea is trying to go for this opening of the well. Opens the well. OSW is also going to open the well. Oh, Flying Diarrhea with misdrops, but uses all spins to keep back-to-back. Okay, that was a nice spin. Oh, and Flying Diarrhea misdrops the S-spin, manages to get out anyway. OSW striding his mind out right now. Already, we see this surge difference. Both players forced to break, and ooh, okay, Flying Diarrhea is utilizing, is trying to utilize this like garbage travel time in order to survive, but it's just not able to go fast enough. All right, SCPC spin from Flying Diarrhea, just regular up stacking from OSW, which, you know, PBT players got this. Oh, that's a bad misdrop. That, no. Yeah, misdropping on a surge deficit. Yeah, buddy, GG. All right, we see. Is that MS2 from? I don't know what that is, but that's definitely not MS2 from Flying Diarrhea. Again, OSW just casual up stack. This Flying Diarrhea rapidly builds up this surge with the all spins. All right, Flying Diarrhea maintaining a stack decently well. Forced a break though because of the pressure that OSW is sending. Okay, OSW is taking a lot of skims, not really building up surge, but it doesn't matter because bro, he's so fast that like as long as Flying Diarrhea is also not building surge, he's gonna be taking these rounds. All right, both players building up. Is that SCPC? Yeah, SCPC spin from Flying Diarrhea. OSW, just some normal 7-2 stacking, getting that surge. All right, lot of surge, very greedy. Okay, gets out perfectly, and Flying Diarrhea cannot survive this 230 APM from OSW. All right, Flying Diarrhea doing, I think it's like Evil Cannon or something like that. OSW is a little bit of a pickle. Looks like he'll be okay though. Maybe. Is that a definite lack for eyepieces right now, but opens up the well just in time, sending a nice 27 spike to end Flying Diarrhea's surge. All right, we see both players building up the surge. OSW is at a definite advantage though. Oh, that's so greedy. We see that's the issue with surge. You can't use it if you can't clear a line. And we see just OSW after he misdrop just had no way to clear anything in order to maybe survive. All right, we see Flying Diarrhea with this LST shifting into just normal stacking. OSW is at a huge disadvantage right now with the surge. But Flying Diarrhea, oh, 30 spike. It just continues off of it. OSW barely able to not survive. That was kind of close. Now we do see like Flying Diarrhea is just kind of, I feel like he's just peeling out OSW's play style, right? And OSW with these misdrops, yeah. Whenever OSW misdrops, it's just completely cooked for him. But especially like how punishing this rule set is, right? But if he doesn't misdrop, he kind of goes insane with this like 4.5 PPS. It is kind of ridiculous. I say only kind of because, you know, we have Westel, but oh my, 50 spike, 50 back-to-back spike from Flying Diarrhea. That was insane. All right, both players doing some TD opener. What is that wasty in the opener from Flying Diarrhea? It's okay because, wait. No, Flying Diarrhea gets RNG diffed by the bag at the top of the board with an amazing funnel. That's ridiculous. All right, we see a little bit of timing from Flying Diarrhea as OSW starts going full stride. He's just trying, to obliterate like Flying Diarrhea's defense right now. It might work because look at this. Look at this. Opens the well, miss drops. Okay, flying diarrhea, miss drops, and we see here surge is not strong by itself. It does absolutely nothing. Now flying diarrhea is just gonna continue stacking. OSW having to stride to get down because he has like no eyepieces. Flying diarrhea continues to build up the surge. Oh, okay. I almost saw a miss drop on flying diarrhea's board. It doesn't miss drop, fixes the board. OSW at a like 11 surge deficit, but he might be okay. No. OSW slows down. You see he slowed down right as flying diarrhea started striding, and that was just too much. All right, flying diarrhea, going for this LST again. OSW doing a King Crimson in tournament. What? That's got to be like plus 3,000 aura right there. That's ridiculous. He's gonna survive it too, even though he did not have the correct pieces for that. Oh my! Oh, OSW gets out. Does he continue it? Oh. Okay, both players survive each other's like misdrop. They both misdrop at the same time, both get out at the same time. Fair enough. OSW with a slight misdrop. That is so greedy. OSW is gonna miss it. No, he's not gonna miss it. Misdrop again from OSW. He needs to stop misdropping this much at the top of the board. He's like barely avoiding death and then going right back into its waiting arms. Oh, OSW striding so close to death as flying diarrhea barely finds the kill. That was an intense game. Nice score, by the way. All right. Oh, flying diarrhea misdrops in the opener. OSW doing OSW things, you know, casual like Trinity, but also has like some TSTs in it. Okay, look at this OSW stride. This is ridiculous. Uses the eyepiece while at the top of the board to build. Who does that? And gets away with it. All right, flying diarrhea, early breaking. It's all clean though. It's just all clean on OSW's board. Look at this. Perfect access. Flying diarrhea does not have access to that well. I'm sorry. He's just dead. All right. Another round. Another LST. Welcome to Tetrio, where no one has any form of free will. It's just LST. Okay, perfect well for flying diarrhea. He's at such a huge... Oh, he just broke surge. And OSW has a perfect well. This might end badly for flying diarrhea if OSW can keep this surge. Look at this 25 spike. Oh my god, how did flying diarrhea survive that? That is diabolical. Is he gonna survive this one though? 30 spike again from OSW, and it's just too much. All right, more TD openers. It feels like I'm watching like PBT, but it's okay. Ooh, flying diarrhea. Early break to try and catch OSW off guard, and OSW misdrops. Barely gets out, but he has to waste the eyepiece on the down stack. We see OSW. See, when he's striding this hard, sometimes you just like, let me just get like clear lines as possible, and then you use the eyepiece on the down stack, like in a non-quad clear, and you're just cooked. Oh, OSW. Uh-oh, no. This is the old head coming back through. He does a PC opener in season 2. And this is what happens. You get counter spike to heaven. But, okay, OSW survives, you know, going 5 bajillion PBS. We see, oh my god, flying diarrhea. That spin setup. Just getting down as fast as possible to avoid the, you know, inevitable nuke from OSW. OSW, that is just not a very conducive born state to living. He just had too many holes, too much cheese, and Flying Divers just going too fast. That was a very strong game from both of them, though. It'll be pretty nice to see if they have a rematch, or even if either player fights anyone else close to their skill level. Yeah, we definitely saw OSW though, a little underranked. All right, Blarg versus Cold. We got, okay, let's be real here. Cold, I don't know, unless you just come up with this, some like diabolical, I just gained 500 TR. I am now #1 in the world. I don't know how you come back from this. Okay, we got, but this could be a nice showing of the skills, you know. Blarg, you know, we all know him, 188 APM, 3.4 PPS, 390 versus. Amazing player. We got Cold, an amazing player of his own right, but this is like Sukuna versus Jogo, you know, like sure he's strong, but he is definitely not the strongest. I will say though, Cold's playstyle is very interesting to watch. It's like slow. It's slow, but not like he's slow as in like Twilight, where it's like it's just always kind of slow. As Cold is slow, and then bro just hits that 5 PPS like caboozled pie burst. He gets that like nice perfect well, and like all the eye pieces hit perfectly. The T pieces, they spin right. He does some like diabolical 3 all spin setup into like, and then he slows back down. It's pretty interesting. It's like perfect macro. And then Blarg is Blarg, you know, like, you know, it's Blarg. Need I say more? All right, into the warm up. We've got Blarg hidden Cold with this so we're just gonna say that the warm-up is not part of the real set, and that Blarg did a little bit of trolling. And by little, I mean a lot of misdropping. Alright, into the real set. We saw a very, very short warm-up between these two. Now, onto the real thing. Okay, Blarg, LST stock. Why? Because this is Tetrio. You know, like, okay, no free will. It's either gonna be, as you can see, TD opener or LST, and Cold, slight misdrop, but it's okay. Bro is just gonna get down. He's chilling, you know? Blarg is also kind of chilling, taking a little easy with this 3.2, making the T-spins. All right, we just saw Blarg like wait until Cold broke and then immediately break afterward. I mean, it works in principle until you realize he had like 4 surge. Okay. Cold with a misdrop and is super cheesed up right now. I don't know how he gets out of this, but he is, because top player things. All right, we see Blarg in a 8-1 well, by the way, convert it to a 7-2 into a 2-7. Break surge, hit a 16 spike, and that's all cheese. You can't take that. Yeah, Cold is just dead. Did he just miss them? I think he just missed a down stack. I'm not sure though. I think he would have died anyway, but you know, the principle of the thing. Okay, we live in a society, same exact PC. All right, both players hitting with this tank. It's like hold tank. Okay, that was a nice, like incomplete ZST. All right, Blarg is just, you know, he's just stacking. Cold is trying his hardest to like do these fancy setups, and Blarg is just like gaming. This guy does not care. All right, nice little setup from Blarg. We're seeing the buildup, and Cold has misdrop, and that is going to be death. I mean, not really much you can do there. You usually kind of just misdrop. Like, it happens, and it's Blarg, so... Like, this guy has, like, immaculate aura. You will start, like, if you don't misdrop, you will misdrop against Blarg. Unless you have, like, the same level of aura as this guy. Alright, okay. That was really nice from Cold. Beautiful spike. Also combined with the fact that Blarg, like, had, like, the most diabolical RNG known to man when it came to, like, tanking that. But still, immaculate spike. Alright. We see Blarg building up Surge along with Cold. We see, okay, Cold's way higher on the board. Has to break and then sends a 26 spike, forcing Blarg to break too. Alright. Both players building up Surge. Cold is, ironically, a little faster. Gets the Surge before Blarg does. Gets all the way down and just obliterates Blarg in a nice, concise 29 spike. Alright, both players starting off the round pretty calmly. Nothing too crazy, you know, just a normal DT cannon mid-game. Alright. Cold playing the waiting game right now. Oh, that was a nice what is that? 180 T-spin. Okay, Blarg has this perfect well. Okay, we're gonna see Cold now trying to build up Surge before Blarg just starts getting too scary with that Surge to really play unsafe. Alright, Blarg, what is this? This is immaculate stacking. Breaks it at 22 spike, 23 spike, keeps going. Okay, this board shaping from Blarg is like beautiful. And not only that, he's somehow cheesing Cold this up. Yeah, that was just... That was like 4 little bits of cheese and then just like, vroom, big line. Nothing you can really do there too. Alright, both players leading with TKI. Yeah, Blarg definitely faster during this set though, and I think Cold is playing slow on purpose. We see Blarg. Ooh, that's a misdraw from Blarg. Cold is not gonna take advantage of it. Just doesn't really have the correct pieces for it, but it's okay because he still has the Surge advantage, surely. And then immediately breaks it. Okay, and look at Blarg, perfect well. Look at Cold, no well to be found, and Blarg just lets him live. Okay, Blarg. We see Cold, no Surge, in the gutter. Blarg is like farming this guy with the Surge. 18 Surge, tanks, 19 Surge, breaks, 29 spike. Add insult to injury, plus 11. What can you do? Alright. We see Blarg with a little bit of misdrops. And even more misdrops. Okay, it's okay though, because Cold has the like modern art of modern arts. Can't get out. In fact, he's just gonna die. Oh, doesn't die. Never mind, does die. I'm sorry, I commentator cursed you. Blarg playing with his food. Okay, I don't want to say Blarg is playing with his food because that's just kind of mean. But Blarg is kind of playing with his food, maybe just a little bit. You know, he's like pushing around with his fork, but he's still eating it. Alright, Blarg with the all spins, you know, the required dosage of all spins for this season. Breaks it at 22 spike, and, you know, okay, if Cold had survived that, he would have had a really nice position, because that's like minus 11 Surge, but he's just not ready for it. Blarg showing off his like speed, I guess. Alright, nice little upgrade of the stack. Upgrading that T-spin into a TST from Blarg. Okay. Cold is not in a bad position, but okay, immediately forced to break as I say that. All right, Blarg is, you know, technically in the worst position, but I wouldn't say that because, you know, he's just immediately going to become in a good position. And he does. He just hits Cold with the 12 G spike. But oh, that's a missed shot from Blarg. All right, is this cheese? Chat, is this cheese? Like, is it just me or is Blarg just purposely sending this guy like mac and cheese? He's just not letting him live. He does not want to get like I think what's going on is he doesn't want to get like RNG games like earlier, like in those first few rounds. He sent clean and Cold was able to just hit that like 40 spike, nom nom nom. Now Blarg is just sending like Parmesan, mozzarella, a little bit of American, some special Tennessee sauce that, you know, maybe exists. And then like Cold can't downstack that obviously because Blarg is 10 bajillion times faster than him. All right, Blarg building that up. Okay, Blarg getting the spins off. Okay, Cold is just playing too slow right now. Like, there's a point where you're like, your macro, it's like there's this fallacy where it's like, if I macro, I'm going to win over speed. No, if you're playing too slow, it doesn't matter how much you macro. Like, look at this. Look at this. Technically bad position for Blarg, doesn't matter. He's just going faster. All right, and Blarg, look, just strides. And then Cold, even though he's macroing, just dies. Because there's just too much to deal with. And it doesn't look like the Blarg is going that fast, right? You see 3.3 PPS, and it's like, oh, he's only going 3.3 PPS. He's not. He's not playing 3.3 PPS. It looks like that because it's his average. He's waiting, right? And he's also going slow in the opener, so it's not opener boosted at all. Realistically, this guy is like bursting like 5 PPS. At least. And even though his like, he's not like really like, he's like also macroing Cold. So like, you're not really getting anything out of macro here other than like, I might live. And then like just long enough so that he can kill me with his next spike. And look. Cold Blarg is already in another advantage state. Continuing to build up. Cold, that is not a spin. Forced to break, and Blarg, perfect well, perfect surge, and Cold just does not have the pieces. No wall on that TST. Okay, another TKI round. I might go insane. Okay. Blarg hitting the spins, forced to break? He didn't really have to break there. That was, I don't really understand why Blarg broke there, but he did, and he's fine, you know, because faster and more efficient. Meanwhile, Cold is in the gutter fighting for his life with his cheese. Okay, but he does open the well, and then cancels the clean. But it's okay because he has another clean well, and Blarg breaks at 11. A piece of a missed drop, I assume. But Blarg opens it up again. Cold again is in the gutter, trying to get out. Gets out, gets to his well again. But Blarg sends him right back up. But this time Cold does have clean. All right, Blarg continuing to just build up his advantage, and Cold miss drops. That's just death. That's just GG, man. Yeah, we see Blarg is just constantly in the advantage state in this set. And the only times Cold is really able to kill is when Blarg misdrops or makes like the most ridiculous mistake and turns into a U rank for like half a second. Or he gets, okay, yeah, oh, okay, Blarg, stop stacking to let Cold live. I see how it is, and then Cold Bishops again and kills himself. That's just unfortunate. GG's. I mean, okay, to be fair, it's a Blarg. Like, well played by Cold. There's not really much you can do there. You just play your best and hope for the best, and I mean, you can't really expect to win there, but hey, you can try. I will say though that I'll also say that during that set we did see a little bit of this idea where you can human reaction, you can like human benchmark test people. Okay, if you have like 30 surge and you think you can catch them and they're like striding, you just human benchmark them because like surge, like I don't know, it feels like its travel time is like way faster than normal garbage. So you just break and it's like, do you have the human benchmark to like react to this, or you just die, right? It's literally a human benchmark test in Tetria. Do you have reaction time? All right, on to the next match. We've got Kasane Teto versus Pangees. This might be an interesting matchup. I have no idea. Is this top? This is not top 8, chat. I don't think it's top. Wait, is it? It might be. Oh no. It is top 8. Okay, it's top 8. I'm just a little washed. Okay, there's like 25 signups. Okay, fair enough. There's like, it's just top 8. Okay, Kasane Teto, underranked MF. That's my evaluation. Pangees, he can cook. More likely than not, he might get cooked. It is seed 6 versus seed 10. I will say after, was that? I think that was Pangees we watched. No, it wasn't. We never watched Pangees, but I will say Pangees has a chance. But also, it's Kasane Teto, and they're like underranked, so like they can just go 170 and Pangees is cooked. But Pangees also has that aura, a little bit of that aura. It's not like divine aura, divine general aura, Maharaga aura from like Blarg, but it's something, okay? Divine, yes, divine aura, okay? Like some players just have that aura. All right, on to the set. No warm up. We're just gonna go straight into it. Pangees immediately misdrops. Kasane Teto just takes advantage. Yeah, okay. I think that was just like, that just got rid of that divine aura. We got Kasane Teto just reacting to Pangees. Okay, all spin single while Pangees is trying to like blitz down Kasane Teto. It's not really working because Kasane Teto is just out efficiencying Pangees, and Pangees is misdropping. I can see where Pangees is coming from with this strategy. Like, you can speed blitz people down, right? It's just like sometimes if that efficiency gap is too big, it's not gonna work. Okay, Kasane Teto misdrops. Pangees also misdrops. There's not gonna be any taking advantage of this horrible board state from either player. But okay, Kasane Teto, those are that was immaculate. Perfect all spins, perfect taking of clean garbage, gets to the next TPs, breaks for a 31 spike, and Pangees has no eyepieces. GG. Yeah, I mean, that was good from Pangees. It was just Kasane Teto got that perfect well. Okay, we're seeing the double cancel usage from Kasane Teto, so they don't have to stack as much. A very greedy. That's so. There's no second TPs in sight. -9 surge already, but Kasane Teto hits the 20 spike, trying to just pressure. Ooh, Kasane Teto gets out. Oh my, Pangees barely doesn't kill Kasane Teto, and that just results in his death because he's already at the top of his board. All right, Pangees misdrops the opener. Kasane Teto
again, just waiting until, you know, for the perfect opportunity. All right, Kasane Teto continuing with this, building up to like surge no matter what. 30, 39 into, yeah, 40, what, 44 spike? Yeah, sorry, Pengies. Can't survive that either. All right, Kasane Teto's just hitting these black flash after black flash. You know, they're in the zone right now. You know how like how you have like a higher chance to hit a black flash if you hit one, if you get in the zone? This is exactly what Kasane Teto is doing. They're just continuing to find these perfect down stacks over and over again. Or not even necessarily perfect, but they send so much, it might as well be perfect. Okay, what was that TSD from Kasane Teto? They're just building up the surge, you know, as Pangies is struggle stacking right now, trying to get out. All right, Pangies does get out, but Kasane Teto might be a little too slow. Oh no, it's not the slow, it's the misdrop that kills Kasane Teto. And Pangies takes the first round for him. I mean, that's something. All right, Pangies, DPC, we're back to what, 2022. Kasane Teto just waiting. I mean, like, it only sends 6, but that waiting might get him killed because look at this surge disadvantage. Pangies misdrops the stack, but is that? Oh, Kasane Teto doesn't die because Pangies misdrops his stack right as he breaks surge. And now Kasane Teto is just gonna go down. Although, okay, they are very cheesed up right now, but Pangies is making his own type of self-cheese. Barely getting to that IPC needs. Continuing to greed for these T-spins. Okay. Kasane Teto is just forcing, like, it's like forcing Pangies to not be able to build surge because it's just like, he or she, I get confused. Kasane Teto is like she, and then, okay, I think I'm just using they. This is a little more considerate. All right, they're like, Kasane Teto's keeping like Pangies at arm's length. You're not able to build surge if you're constantly in this state where you're like in like the sewers with cheese. Like, look at this. Look at this cheese. What are you supposed to do? And then Kasane Teto doesn't even have to play fast. All they have to do is get enough garbage to kill. And usually that's going to be like an 8 spike. Alright, Pangies. Just LST. Alright, we see... Oh, okay, Pangies had a very nice stock right there. And Kasane Teto had this like crazy self-made cheese. Alright, we see Pangies with the extended... Okay, this might work out because we see Kasane Teto's playing very slow right now compared to Pangies. Just letting Pangies continue to build up this surge advantage. Look at this 38 spike. It doesn't matter what setup you pull out if you get hit with that. All right, we might see a change in tactics from both players. Pangies is adapting, shifting to this more like super up stacky, greedy. I mean, he was already greedy, but he's like playing a little bit safer, just safe enough so that he can comfortably build up the surge, canceling all the cheese that Kasane Teto is trying to build. We see Kasane Teto also trying to build up the surge, but is being forced to break from their own misdrops. All right, Pangies speeding up 3.7 PPS. All right, very nice stacking from Pangies, breaking, but Kasane Teto has just got a better down stack than his up stack. Even though Kasane Teto's at a speed disadvantage, they are comfortably keeping Pangies in this struggle. This is like a struggle area where they're just like constantly at the top of the board, not able to get to the clean garbage. Although they do so right there. All right, Kasane Teto breaks. Nice 20 spike. And Pangies does misdrops the down stack. Even with this double okay, the double IPs just came too early for Pangies to really take advantage of that board state. All right, we're gonna see LST from Pangies. Kasane Teto's got a nice, well, already open. We might see human benchmark test. We do see human benchmark testing, but it doesn't matter. Pangies is gonna slap right back with this 29 spike, 550 versus 280 APM round. It was a perfect reaction. All right, DT Cannon, we're back in like the days of non-existence, back in like 2013. All right, Kasane Teto just down stacks it immediately. After all, it is all clean, so shouldn't really be much trouble for them. Continuing to find these all spins to maintain search of misdrops. Okay, we see Pangies building up the up stack, but not sending anything. Oh, misdrop for Pangies. All right, Kasane Teto again building up search. I don't know. Okay, they're trying to. It's like they're trying to tank when they're also trying to like send at the bottom. All right, they stop tanking. They just stride out the rest of the attack, and it works because, you know, when you have like that really big search advantage, some of the times it's just optimal to play and never break it because your opponent gets so scared of, you know, that like 20 surge you have that they end up killing themselves out of fear. And like, I'm not kidding. This will actually happen in sets. Where you won't lose to the surge, you'll lose because you're playing too scared because of the person's surge. All right, Pangies a little cheesed up, immediately finds the way out. Let's say that. All right, again, Pangies in the gutter, just digging down as Kasane Teto builds up the surge, immediately breaks for this 23 spike. It's all cheese. Like, look at that. It's just all cheese. Okay. Whoa. That is very clean from... You know, I stand corrected. That is no longer clean from Pangies. That was too greedy. Just too greedy. That was just too greedy. You know, you should have just taken it while you had it. You know, you asked for too much. It's like you put everything on red. You put 100k on red. You won, and then you put another 100k on red. Okay, nice little downside find from Pangies. Immediately misdrops though. Okay. Pangies is just gonna continue on this down stack attack. It's like he's using the down stack to attack. Meanwhile, Kasane Teto is just building up pressure with the all spins, sending cheese onto Pangies board. Okay, once Pangies gets down from this up stack, he's a little cooked. Cause look at this, nothing. There's nothing, and Kasane Teto just sends 25. Yeah, sorry, buddy, you're cooked. All right, we see. Okay, you can see like Pangies. If Pangies hadn't misdrop, they probably would have been fine, or at least a little more fine from that spike. But like that 9-0 misdrop just absolutely ruined them. And oh no, that's just game. Misdrop the opener. GG's. Kasane Teto takes the set. All right. So next up, we've got Symbolics and Potato 2017. I will say Symbolics' down stack can be a little ridiculous, but I'll also say that Potato, I don't know, sometimes this guy just cooks. Like, yes, you can see the stats right now, right? Okay, it's only 140 APM. No. Oh?
Um, so I got word from Flower Petal that a random person donated $500 to Hummingbird Nest. So whoever that is, please make your name known in the server because $500 is crazy. Uh, thank you to whoever that was. It's really appreciated.
$500. You know, whoever just donated that, I don't know who that is. It's just this whoever you are, this random person in the internet. Thank you. As Sketchy said, yes, Potato. That is a very big number. You know what else is a big number? This 250 verses that Symbolics has. Okay, it doesn't look like a lot. It's just 260 verses, but like, okay, 120 APM. 260 versus that's gotta be something on like the versus APM scale, right? This stat line plus what I know from Symbolics. This is just gonna be this guy's playstyle is just gonna be down stack. Oh, I need to up stack. No, I just need to down stack more. I know Potato. Okay, like he's pretty up stacky. He can hit 170. I don't know how this is gonna react, but Symbolics is super down stack. All right, into the warm up. Mutual old people opener with PCO. Alright, we see Symbolics building up the 4 surge, immediately breaking. Potato is already at a surge advantage. Sends 19. Okay, look at this. It's all cheese. It's all cheese on Symbolics' board. This is what low surge does. Okay? You got like 2 options with surge. You can send big or send like because it's divided. The way surge works is it's divided into 3 sections. So if you send like 9 surge, it becomes the absolute worst garbage. 3, 3, 3. That's 3 eyepieces and none of them are quads. So low surge, just like Potato did, is horrible for like for down stack mains because you get like you have to stride. You have to stride to get out of that. And for slow down stackers like Symbolics, that is horrible. All right, TKI from both sides. I'm not sure what this is. It's just like normal stacking, you know. Although Potato does already again have a surge advantage, building up to that 10 surge, 12 surge, 13 surge, 14, 15. Okay, yeah, it's just going up. It's just continuing the deficit for Symbolics. It's already out at 18. Okay, breaks at 20. And Symbolics has got the eyepiece over the well, is not able to go fast enough to fix it in time. Okay, now SDPC, this is what I like to see. SDPC spin from Potato 2017. That rhymed, hey. Anyway, all spins from Symbolics. Okay, look at this. Waste T on the downside. It's not gonna matter though. At least right then. It might matter now because Potato does have a pretty big surge advantage. 12 surge, 13 surge. Is this just gonna be a repeat of last round? No, because Symbolics is gonna hit a diabolical 34 spike. And Potato 2017 just can't survive the follow-up. All right, both players, free world, by the way. Both players are doing TKI. Okay, Potato is having none of this tanking. Literally ruining his own stack to send cheese. And it's gonna screw him over because Symbolics is just gonna hit a 16 spike and say, you wanna ruin your stack? I don't need Plonk to kill you. All right, Symbolics denying the PC. Good move in favor of an up stack to build surge up. But look at this. Potato already at 6, 7. And just keep going. Although Symbolics has reached 4, so he can break at any time. And oh my. Potato gets human benchmark tested by Symbolics and fails. 1 piece off. All right, all right, all right. We're seeing a little bit of stalling. Potato is making all spins. It's because they send cheese. You can't plonk cheese. So we're just gonna see early break from Potato. Okay, I don't think this slow play against Sabolic is not going to work. Okay, look at this. Sabolic is so much more efficient than Potato. He's literally like double his APP. You need to, when you're in a matchup like this, you have to play to your strengths. This is not playing to your strengths. You can't match the guy whose whole play style is down stacking. Or not necessarily even down stacking, just like plonking by plonking yourself. All right. And Potato just strides out a little bit of damage and kills Sabolic. Sabolic just does not have a down stack, just has misdrops. All right, dual PCO. Although Sabolic is looking mightier, cleaner. That is not a word. More clean than Potato. Look at this. Already has 7 surge. Okay, both players have 7 surge. Oh, okay. Look, Potato. Taint the cheesy surge. You would think, oh, that's great because now he gets to send his own surge. No. Look at this. It's all cheese. He only killed. Oh, well, he's not even gonna kill. He is gonna kill because Sabolic ruins his well find and uses the eyepiece in a single clear instead of a quad clear. But you know the principle of the thing. Okay, Potato speeding up. Maybe he's listening. I don't know, but he is speeding up, playing to his own strengths to just find a kill despite the plonk. All right, nice. Okay, good. That was good because if you saw that garbage queue, it was all cheese. That was a good play from Potato. Okay. Sabolic's ruining his stack with a little bit of misdrops, fixes the stack, and then proceeds to get absolutely nuked by Potato, breaking a surge. Even game now. All right, Potato starting the game with some all spins. You know, you gotta put some cheese on your potatoes, you know. Building up the surge. We see Sabolic's 9-0, not where you want to be when you're slower than your opponent. But gets out of it very comfortably. We see Sabolic's, you know, keeping Potato at an arm's length right now, keeping him away from the attack. Although, despite that, Potato has just access as well. He's going to start building up surge. What is Sabolic going to react with? He's going to react with 9-0. And almost gets nuked, but has 2 eyepieces to compensate. All right, Potato building up with surge. Breaks immediately. Hits a 13 spike. Sabolic has just in time. Down stack, misdrops. Look, yeah. Okay, Sabolic is just dead. R.I.P. Bozo. Could not get to those 3 lines of cheese in time. All right, Potato has a very nice stack right now. And then immediately breaks at like 4 surge. Okay. It has cheese and Sabolic. And Sabolic's board is looking mighty nasty right now. This is like moldy cheese. What is this? It's all cheese and Potato hits that 13 spike. Look at this. Sabolic is just forced to clear singles. He's playing cheese race. All right. Sabolic gets access to the well. Just as Potato is ready to send a 16 spike that does absolutely nothing. All right, Sabolic again, access to the well. again, Potato is like playing pseudo mechanical heart right now. Oh no. Okay. Yes, Potato accesses the well before Shabalik gets access to his well. And now we're in a very even board state. Both players are in a mutually cheesy, no clean on the board environment. Surely no one gets nuked during this time. Uh-oh, Sabolix's access is clean. Although Potato does have way more surge. Ooh, that's unfortunate. Potato misdrops. Sabolix using that garbage. Trying to top out Potato. Potato does not really have a good stack. Yeah, Potato kind of gets screwed over. Look at that. ZOTZS. What are you supposed to do there? No eyepiece in sight. All right, we see Potato open it up with some clean T-spins. Well, okay, not really T-spins. I'm so S1 filled. These are all spins, Amber. Okay, and Sabolix just down stacks. And because, you know, +1 garbage when you have clear garbage. Oh, wow, that does not sound right. +1 send when you clear garbage, like, it just kills. Okay, open it up. Again, Potato with these all spins. Okay, Potato continue with the all spins. I feel like, okay, Potato is trying to cheese Sabolix, but Sabolix is like having none of it. Instead, all that's happening is that Potato is cheesing himself. All right, Potato speeding up, getting out this, trying to build up the surge. All right, tanks garbage, Sabolix. Ooh, whoa. Ripple eyepiece. No quads in sight. Trying to maintain access to these wells to prepare for the eventual spike from Potato. Sabolix is playing too safe. He's getting stuck in this fallacy where, my opponent has so much surge. I need to play safe all the time. Okay, now it's fine because he's got the well, and he's gonna tank. Potato is just gonna keep stacking though. Oh, 21 spike from Potato. It's not gonna do anything because it wasn't accompanied by anything else. It was just raw surge, which Sabolix was prepared for. Okay. Ooh, it's cheesy though, and Sabolix is gonna die to the follow-up. Hello, Snowman. Hello, Hugh99. All right, got a very even match again. Potato doing these all spins. Not really sure about it. I mean, all spins, they worked before, but now that they only send 6, they're not really that useful. Like I said earlier. All right, Potato is in the gutter with this APP. It's all cheese. It's just all cheese. Okay, starting to build with these all spins, getting the surge. Meanwhile, Sabolix trying to get access to these. Good 9 combo. It doesn't really do anything, just Potato though. Potato's still got a clean board. And that's the important thing. You gotta maintain this. Ooh, that mini combo right there. Yeah, that just did Potato in. Potato just got done in by that mini spike from Sabolix. That's something also. Sabolix really likes these mini spikes where it's like not really like a nuke where it's like a 30 spike. It's more like you slowly die an agonizing death from like 11, 13, 11, you know. And if you can't down stack fast enough while maintaining the offense, you will die. All right, Potato 12 surge, but also just not a great board state, so there's no follow-up. And Sabolix is just gonna keep down stacking as he has been at a calm 2.6. using his macro knowledge to keep Potato on the down stack in an uncomfortable position. All right. We're gonna see Symbolics not able to maintain surge as Potato's breaking so early too. Look at that. Gotcha 4 immediately broke. It's very cheesy though. And Symbolics is gonna have to get through just in time to survive. Alright. Potato on the downside. I'm not sure what's going on here. It's like he's getting through the cheese and then he's just making it again. So it's like double. It's like cheese race 2x. You know, like you get through the cheese and then you have to make your own cheese. All right, all mid game all spin from Symbolic. It's not gonna do anything because you know all spin said nothing anymore. All right, Symbolics. Nice stack so far. Building up the surge. A little greedy. Okay, maybe a very greedy. Being forced to go down. But accesses the well again. And look at this. Miss drop on Potato's board. Now Symbolics is in a perfect board state to punish. And Symbolics building up surge with those all spins yet again. We're seeing definitely a lot of all spin usage in this set. Alright, Symbolics with the 9 surge, or 8 surge, breaks 21 spike, and Potato is not prepared. Alright, we're gonna... Julio! Potato with the SCPC spin. No, again, building up that surge. Symbolics is a little bit of a rut. Does manage to get the well open. Ooh, this is kind of dangerous for Symbolics. He doesn't really have anything here, but it's all the same. It's okay because he does manage to get down. Ooh, oh, that's not good. Symbolics just a little too slow there as Potato found his stride. All right, Symbolics with this clean. Okay. This is what is this? This is double at 2x. All right, Symbolics abusing 2x so that he can use PCs to cancel. Using that double canceling in the first 14 pieces. All right, Symbolics 24 spike manages to kill Potato because Potato got really greedy with those spins, not really able to find anything. All right, we're gonna see. Ooh, we're gonna see Symbolic go for a little more upstack in this round. Potato using those. I don't know about using those eyepieces for the stack, but it does work. He's got the surge advantage now. All right. This is like this match in general is like look at this. We see like Potato does everything right, and then Symbolics just hits him with this like insane no U 20 spike out of nowhere, and then Potato just dies because it's cheesy too. Is this the power of down stacking in season 2? All right. We're seeing Symbolics build up the surge slowly as Potato does so even faster. All right. Symbolics a little bit of a rut. No clean on the board, and Potato breaks. Doesn't really, very inconsequential break. Doesn't really do anything at all. Does make an SDSD, but that SDSD didn't necessarily do much. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of mini surges from like these mini surges again, like we were seeing earlier in the tournament. They do work here though, because Symbolics does a little bit of shenanigans with her down stack. Although it did take a very long time for Potato to kill there. I'm not so sure about like that strategy, but you know, if it kills, it kills. you love playing Symbolics. Well, I'm watching this gameplay. I don't know how I feel about playing against Symbolics. I'm just seeing a lot of, okay. We're seeing the down stack, get access to the well. Right. Symbolics opens the well up, continues to go down. All right, Potato has the surge advantage, immediately breaks. Potato's in a disadvantage state, has just cheese on the board. Meanwhile, Symbolics is building up this potential spike and then misdrops it, or misstacks it. I don't know the word for that. All right, Symbolics finding another clean well as Potato gets dumped in the gutter yet again by Symbolics. Is extremely, I'm not saying this with any sarcasm at all, a very, very, very clean garbage sense. All right, 7 back-to-back for Symbolics. Building up the surge. Potato has just accessed that back-to-back. Building it up. Symbolics hits him with the 27 spike. It's all cheese. Look at that. It's just cheese, and Potato just gets obliterated by the cheese. All right, so we see Symbolics taking the set 11-8. That was definitely one of the closer games we've seen so far, similar to like Flying Gyro and OSW, where we get to see like Symbolics kind of hit these like Potato wasn't playing bad necessarily, it was just Symbolics was just too down stacky for him. And we have my fellow commentator Red Lyra.
Hello.
Hello. Are you here to replace me?
Yes, I am.
This is fantastic. Well, chat, it was awesome commentating for you guys. Really nice to be back into it. Now, you're going to have your commentator duo of the year memberee, Red Lyra, here to finish you out with this tournament.
All right. Thank you so much. And I was watching great matches, great commentary. Yeah, very fun.
Thank you. Hope you guys have a great stream, and I will see you.
All right, and we are getting right into it with this next match. We have Cold versus Kasane and Teto. Yeah, so both these players, X+, Kasane Teto, looks like they are just barely an X+ with that. Cold with the seed advantage here and a pretty significant stats advantage, if you ask me. So yeah, we are getting the players in the lobby, and we will get this match to you soon. I always love to A, look through the bracket to see upsets, and B, look at the TWC points. Because I know a lot of players are starting to get more of the silver tournaments under their belts, but it looks like we actually have our warm-up ready to go here, so very exciting. We'll get that to you in a sec. All right. Kasane and Teto going for the 5-4 upstack, whereas Coldless is going for an SDPC spin right here. We have, yeah, that's a warm-up, all right. Yeah. Kasane just going a little bit slower there, and Cold just takes that 12-second warm-up round. Sounds about right. All right, so the players are going to get into this first to 11 here. And yeah, good luck to both. All right, so we have Kasane and Teto misdropping their their TKI directly off the bat, whereas Coldless is going for a 7-2 stack right now. Coldless is the first one to get back-to-back here, and they're continuing to go through it, transferring that well very nicely as Kasane and Teto is having to skim a little bit. Coldless breaks that spike and sends it Okay. Kasane Seto now has back-to-back. They have back-to-back 4. I'm wondering if they're going to cheese. Okay, Coldless with the spike right there. That's going to send a lot of cheese. Look at the bottom of that board. That is not pretty. That is not something you want to deal with. So Cold is getting a lot of garbage sent to them, but that's going to be slowed down by the cheese that they sent earlier. And oh my gosh, that is horrible. That is like 8 layers of cheese. Well, Cold's board is looking a lot more pristine. Little bit of cheese there, but Kasane is still working through this and are just now accessing this this nice large well. Both players kind of on the down stack right now. Now they're really building back-to-back. Kasane Teto with the 23 spike is going to be enough to find them that first round. All right, PCO from both sides. Looks like Coldless was actually trying to find the PC solve there, but not really finding it. I've seen a lot of players using PCO not as a way to find a PC, but rather just to start like a 5-4 stack, and I feel like that's something that Kasane was trying to go for right there. All right, so Coldless with a nice double quad into a down stack right there. Ooh, misdropping that S piece at the top sealed it right there, and that is going to be Cold's first point. All right. PCO versus a stick spin opener. And yeah, there's going to be the SDPC spin. And Kasane Teto with an immediate 22 down stack. Definitely just caught Cold off guard there, and that's enough to get them a second point. Yeah, you got to be ready for that, especially if you're doing an opener that is, you know, has a C-spin in the middle of it or deals a lot of damage. You got to be ready for the garbage on the other side of that being sent back to you. Coldless still sticking with that SDPC spin, finds a nice well underneath that. That's going to allow 28 spike there, but that's not really going to phase Kasane right here, although they do have that -9 at the top of the screen. This is some pretty nice garbage to work with here, so I'm guessing they're not sweating too much. Okay, that was a little bit of a scary spike, but they were able to get through it, and yeah, just not quite able to handle the follow-up there from Cold, and we are all tied up. MS2 from Coldless side and Kasane with the 5-4 up stack off of the PCO setup. So Cold is going to send that pretty large spike. Both players are going to have back-to-back here. Kasane definitely plonking a little bit more, going a lot slower here than Cold. Or just, I just looked at the PVS. It felt like they were going slower, but overall, yeah, there we go. There we go. All right. 26 spike from Coldless is going to put a lot of pressure on Kasane's board, and they're going to have to downstack this here. They're alive, but that was a close one there for them. Cold does have a large well to get down through here. Let's see how they're going to use it. That is going to push Kasane up at the top of the board, and they do misdrop what appears to be an L piece and was not able to find their well in time. All right, TKIs on both sides here. Coldless with a misdrop that's going to force them to break their back-to-back right there, but they're definitely going to be looking to build it back up here. All right, Kasane also breaks back-to-back here. They have a pretty clean board here. A nice opportunity for downstack, and they are plonking a bit here. Coldless breaks that back-to-back immediately. And Kasane is skimming a lot there, so they're also not going to be building back-to-back. Coldless is the only one with back-to-back here, and they are just trying to spam out those T-spins here. And there's that 9 on Kasane's board, and so they're going to try to maintain well access right here. They're not too nervous. I mean, being at the bottom of the board is, you know, a pretty ideal place to be when you do see that indicator up at the top of your board, but you do need well access. They didn't have it for a bit, but they have it now at just the right time. So Kasane is going to get out of that pretty unscathed, and they are actually going to put a bit of pressure onto Cold and push them up to the top of the board, but for now they're fine, getting some all spins on the way down. Kasane breaks back-to-back. Coldless has back-to-back, and Cold is going to be able to keep it for at least a little while here before sending it. These are some pretty clean wells for now on these players' boards, though there is a little self-imposed cheese. Okay, that cheese is gone, and I'm pretty sure that was a misdrop eyepiece on Cold's board. Didn't quite see exactly what happened up at the top there, but we are tied again. All right, so PCO stacking from both sides. Now they're really looking for a PC. Cold is bringing it into a 3-6 and Kasane bringing it into a 5-4. I feel like the 5-4 continuation is the most common one. All right, so there was a misdrop, I believe, on Kasane's board, but they were able to turn it into an all spin. They break Surge right there and have a nice well to get into. Cold has a little bit of cheese on the board, turns it into a really nice T-spin triple setup, slowing down a little bit here to find these all spins and finding that back-to-back. Both players with about the same back-to-back here. They break it at the same time here, and Cold is going to be pushed up at the top of the board with a lot of cheese going on underneath it. And even with that clutch clear, yeah, that was not a good place to be, especially with the STSC on the other side just waiting to seal their fate. Identical TKIs pretty much from both sides. Both players just following it up with a lot of T-spins here. Okay, some all spinning. Cold breaks back to back here, so that is going to leave Kasane with the advantage. We do see that -10 pop up, and Kasane is just going to be trying to continually output damage here and is forced to break back to back there as Cold is able to pressure them. They gotta use that built up attack defensively, and Cold sends a spike that puts Kasane at the top of the board. They have to rush into their pieces right here to find what they need to down stack, and even though they do, they're setting up a C-spin right now that puts a hole in their board, but Cold has a lot of attack ready. Okay, the Surge has been used. There is a down stack there for Cold. And Kasane is the one with the back-to-back right now. Ooh, that's a lot of cheese on Cold's board. That's a lot of 2 sections right there, and they are going to have to work through that. No back-to-back to be had there. Whereas Kasane is about to get that 4 back-to-back point and breaks it immediately to send that cheese. Yeah, that's a lot on a Cold's board right now. That's not easy to get through. They do find the well, though. Getting through that well is their saving grace right there, and they're able to continue this down stack and get into the clean portion of the board right now, and that's exactly what they needed there. Kasane just spamming out some T-spins, all spins along the way. Down at the bottom of the board here. Cold finds back-to-back and breaks it immediately. With a nice little 12 spike right here. Both players have their back-to-back right now at a pretty similar spot. The Kasane's is higher, and Coldless with a nice fix there, having some all spins into this down stack, breaks back-to-back. Both players break at the same time, and those surges pretty much cancel each other out. But Coldless has a nice well here, and they're going to try to use it for an attack. That's some really nice out-of-order stacking there. But there's that back-to-back, there's that well used up, and then there's a nice well on Kasane's board that they use, and then there's a misdrop from Coldless that is going to end that over 2-minute round. You don't see those very often. But I'm sure we'll see a few of them today. Ooh, so that's a misdrop on Coldless's board. They misdropped their SDPC spin. That's what you get for SDPC spinning. I don't like that opener, but it's fine. And that is the round. 6-3. 3 or maybe even 4 straight points. I just remember it being 3-3 at one point, but Kasane being able to run away with this a little bit. That is a very nice well for Coldless right there. That is exactly what you want when you're up stacking like that, but they do send it. Kasane does get into the well. They have a TST set up, and yeah, no, not finding the clear right there because of the J hang right there, and that is going to be another point for Cold, keeping themselves in this. All right, so stick spinning versus PCO, and they do actually take the PC there, finding a second PC, but yeah, it's not really doing much here. Oh, the 29 spike is the follow-up? Hello? All right, and Coldless is able to survive barely, and they do start on this down stack here as Kasane just builds up that back-to-back, sends it. Coldless with a 19 spike is going to stop all attack coming from the other side. And yeah, this is Kasane up the top of the board. Kind of nice garbage to work with, but not too much. And I spin on the way down as Cold is just pressuring and finds enough to win that point, bringing it almost back to tied again. TKI versus SDPC spin again. Yeah, and just finding that back-to-back out of the opener phase. Kasane not keeping their back-to-back. Okay, and Cold breaks while Kasane as well is covered, but they do find the sequence to get into it. And a nice little combo down stack from Kasane is going to put a lot of cheese onto Cold's board. However, there was a bit of cheese on their board to begin with, so it's definitely just a little bit of back and forth with this messy garbage. And Cold defending this spike sent from Kasane, and neither player really... Okay, that's a TST tower. All right. 20 spike out of the TST tower doesn't really do much to Coldless over here, who is up stacking. They do have to start down stacking a little bit earlier than they wanted here. Little bit of hesitation, finding the eyepiece in time to stay alive here, and Cold just got a spike. Well is covered. All right, down stacking through it. Kasane is just trying to kill here, but Coldless staying alive, getting the pieces that they need to continue this here, finding back-to-back, breaking it, putting a little bit of cheese on Kasane's board, and even though they're able to cancel most of it, some of it still finds its way to the bottom, and so they are going to have to work through that there, and that is going to come back in the form of cheese onto Coldless's board. Setting up an S-spin triple right there for the style points. Both players kind of like it's kind of at a standstill right now. Kasane definitely slowing down a little bit, speeding up in response to that back-to-back break, that surge damage coming in. Yeah, both players about to have that 4 back-to-back, and then Coldless sends that, and then Kasane sends that, and it's going to end up with a little bit more cheese on Kasane's board, and that is going to be completely cleared already. So Cold is sending some back-to-back. It's when you send the all-spin minis, a lot of the times that will cheese up your opponent's board, which is why you'll see players going for that over T-spins. So whenever I see a player avoiding T-spins for all-spin doubles or triples, I think that, you know, usually that is a garbage thing. Ooh, and a misdrop there from Kasane on what was supposed to be an S-spin. Coldless setting up an STSD right now, being able to find 1.5 of those T-spins. Little bit of cheese onto Cold's board. They're going to downstack through it right now, and having a pretty nice spike from the bottom of the board, and we can see this gravity margin starting to ramp up as we are about to hit that 3-minute mark on the round. So that is when our garbage margin is going to come into play. So attacks will be slightly amplified, and the amount that they're amplified by will go up over time. So that's a really nice spike from Coldless there. Kasane forced to break back-to-back here. They're in a less than ideal spot at the top of their board, and that 29 spike from Coldless right there is going to tie it up. All right, Cold breaks back-to-back there as Kasane is the one to continue building it up, and there's that -7 on the board. Coldless trying to keep well access open here so that they can deal with the incoming garbage, and it does slow down Coldless enough for Kasane's after attack to find the kill. All right, TKIs from both sides right here, going to continue with the T-spins on Coldless's side, while Kasane Teto finds some all-spins first. Both players with some all-spins to try to continue their back-to-backage here. Building back-to-back at a pretty similar rate here. A nice spike from Kasane Teto is going to force Coldless to break their back-to-back, but yeah, forcing your opponent to break back-to-back without dropping your back-to-back can put you in such a good spot, and that's exactly what happened there. All right, so we have a misdrop on one side, I'm guessing, just based on how much they slowed down, but Coldless, on the other hand, building up a 5-4 stack. Asana getting that lucky garbage that fits the well that they already had going on. So they're going to stack into that for a bit. Some nice all-spins to find a 28 spike. Coldless is going to be forced to break back-to-back and go through this down stack. That is some misdropping on Kasane's board, and that gives Coldless the point. All right. Finding the PC out of PCO and then a 2-line PC to follow it up, but no more PCs as Cold is going to send the garbage over. Ooh, an 18 spike from Kasane right there. Coldless defends it before breaking back to back and finding a combo down stack now. Not too much cheese out of that one, but going to continue on the down stack there as Kasane has a misdrop with this S piece right here. And even if they fix this misdrop here, that is a ridiculously cheesy board for them to have to deal with. If Cold is able to spam out this attack right now, maybe even find some back-to-back, this should be their round. All right, so they have their back-to-back as Kasane no longer has that cheese on their board. They've gotten through all of it, and so this is, you know, let's see if Coldless can take advantage of the opening that they were able to create there with that combo down stack in the beginning, but it seems like, okay, here's this 13 back-to-back. So Kasane is going to try to ready themselves for this, and they do have access to the well, but not the pieces they need to continue, and we are tied up yet again. All right, more of the same openers. Ooh, and Coldless misdrops the C-spin right there, so not going to be able to find the full attack of that opener, but a really nice cleanup of the board into a 13 spike that just catches Kasane off guard right there, and that is going to be another point for Coldless. All right, PCO versus TKI. Ooh, Kasane misdropped that eyepiece right there. Didn't quite slide it into where they wanted. And Coldless is building Secret Grade on their board for some reason, as they do have to try to downstack through the monster that they've created. Kasane misdrops their spin. And it's just a little messy from both sides here. Maybe a little bit of fatigue from these long rounds coming out. All right, and Coldless with a nice cut copy to bring that back-to-back counter up. And so that is going to send to Kasane's board, but it is actually going to be kind of clean. They're not going to be able to keep back-to-back. Potentially, yeah, they are going to break right there, but these are still some pretty nice wells. Both players getting that back-to-back. Cold is the first one to break it into a 27 down stack, and Kasane is also going to break, and not too much is going to be formed out of that exchange, but Cold has 7 back-to-back again, and a lot of clean on the board. They're kind of building up a center 3-wide here, finding a bit of a combo down stack, and then they misdrop the T-piece, and ooh, yeah, that is it for the round, tying it up yet again. How many ties are we going to see? This is like the 5th one. Both players with the PCO 5-4 stack. Kasane taking a moment to think about their all spins right here as Cold finds a 24 spike. That is going to send completely clean to Kasane's board. They have the well that they need to volley back that attack and continue on here as Cold finds another 17 spike, and Kasane has what they need to get down through this, but can they find the next well right here? The answer is yes, but Cold sends enough attack to finish out that point to be on match point here. TKIs on both sides. Cold getting through that garbage first, and then Kasane with some interesting all-spin setups there. Kasane setting up a TSD out of a TST setup as Cold is looking to get back-to-back here. They break their back-to-back. Kasane plonking a little bit right there, getting that back-to-back for some all spins to continue out, and then they break back-to-back, and Cold does have a response to that right now, and they are going to be on the down stack, a somewhat cheesy board. Kasane's cheese is so clean right now. They're going to get into that and find that back-to-back along the way, and I don't know if that was a misdrop or not, but regardless, Kasane is forced to break back-to-back, and that is going to go over to Cold's board, and that is going to be pretty clean. Cold gets through that for a small spike there, and look at that well on Kasane's board. They have the 2 eyepieces into it, and then the spin, and doesn't do too much to Coldless, who's just spamming out these all spins, and that is some messy garbage on a Cold's board right now. Definitely going to slow them down as they try to work through this, and Kasane misdrops what appeared to be an STSD over on their side. That is going to slow them down as well. So both players kind of finding a slowdown at a similar point in time. Cold is going to be stacking up a little bit on top of their garbage, but now stacking through it. And both players at a kind of weirdly similar spot on their board right now. Yeah, someone's got to do something at this point, as we are getting close to that 2-minute mark. We may see another long round here. We just hear back-to-back noises from Cold's side, and ooh, all right. So both players forced a break right there, and that's going to leave Kasane's board slightly cheesier, but it is only a couple layers of cheese right there, so they will be able to get into that. And even some, ooh, the C-spin there from Coldless is very nice, but it doesn't really do too much attack right there. Cold does cover the well, so force to, oh gosh, that misdrop. Yeah, that's it. That is game. Yeah, it's always interesting to see players going for the all spins there in order to cheese their opponent. But yep, so you can see our bracket here. Cold will move on while Kasane is out of the bracket. Yeah, that was an interesting one. Very close, very back and forth. But we have OSW versus, I believe that is pronounced Sabolch. That is what I was told last time, so I'm going to go with that. So OSW, our 3 seed here, and Sabolch as our 11 seed has, yeah, okay. So they upset the 5 seed and then the 7 seed. So maybe they're a little underseeded. That was exhausting. Yeah, I'm really not surprised, Cold. I get it. But okay, so both of our players are in the lobby here, deciding on whether or not to warm up. They're saying yes, so we will get that warm up to you in a set. Assuming OSW is here. We'll see. All right, we are going to start our warm up. All right. OSW, the Speed Demon, versus Sabolch, who upset their seeding by a lot. OSW, obviously very well known in the community. Sabolch, I haven't seen their name until a bit more recently, but they've been playing very well. I was watching the previous sets, and that's going to be a lot of cheese on their board from OSW right there. Yeah, handling it pretty well, but OSW is just continuing to send the damage and then misdrops a T-spin, because what else would you do? Yeah, that sounds about right. All right. Yeah, OSW known for being a high speed, high misdrop player, but that isn't exactly, I mean, okay, it's showing a pretty large PPS diff, but definitely lower PPS than some players. I've heard many talking about how you can't just like head down, go as fast as possible anymore. Some players will still try to do that. OSW misdrops their TKI, and then in trying to fix it, misdrops again. So he's going to be working through that for a while. Sabolch is going to have a bit of time to build up back-to-back. They don't go for the back-to-back right there. OSW is able to get through stuff and, yeah, just push Sabolch up to the top of the board and find that first point. All right, MS2 from OSW side and Sabolch starting with that PCO stack. Okay, OSW spamming out damage and then misdropping a spin. So that is going to slow him down a little bit there. Sabolch does have a nice well to get through here, and OSW has a lot of cheese on the board. Unfortunately, another misdrop is going to slow him down there, and Sabolch is going to be able to find the damage to top out OSW before he's able to get into that garbage. We do see TKIs from both sides here. OSW going into an LST 7 or 2-7 stack here, and a little bit of a misdrop, but continuing to power through it. And Sabolch is setting up a TST here. rather slowly, but taking your time is definitely not the worst thing in the world in this rule set. And couldn't tell if that was a misdrop from OSW's side. And if it was, yeah, that is going to be the cause of that there. I would assume that is. So TD opener from OSW's side here. Yeah, okay. So what happened there was that OSW just pushed up Savulch and they didn't have the pieces that they needed. Sometimes that just happens. All right, so TKI's on both sides again. No surprise that OSW's is faster. Savulch getting through the wells that OSW's created for them. OSW with a nice clean board has a nice well to get into, and Savulch is being pushed up, and they misdrop their S piece at the top of the board. They have an out, but OSW puts through too much damage for them to continue stacking after they find their initial out. Savulch misdrops at the very start here as OSW is building up a TD opener. This does not seem good. They are able to get into their first well here as OSW is building up that man-made stack right now. OSW putting themselves at the top of the board and being forced to down stack here. Not in the greatest position for a sec, but stabilizing. Savulch doing well with this down stack here and just kind of going slow and dealing with what OSW is sending, which is honestly their best bet here. OSW with the LST just spamming out these T-spins in this 2-7 stack. There's that 11-12 back-to-back, and he does not even need to break it because the LST itself is enough to push Savulch up to the top. TKIs on both sides yet again. OSW with a bit of a misdrop, I believe, there. Going to be able to get out of it, but that is actually going to give Savulch time to find that back-to-back, and there is that 8 sending right away as OSW does not have a way out right there. Tosses 2 eyepieces down that well, but not finding the clears that they need to stay alive. Another TD versus the PCO stack, and that is actually going to give Savulch the perfect well, and we have a little bit of plonking action going on as... Yeah, that's entirely... Give me... All right, you want garbage, OSW? You get 1. I will give you this 1 garbage. That's what you get if you want something from me. Oh my god. Oh gosh, yeah. And now we're just sitting here. All right, and we're off again. All right, so both players have taken their break, I guess, their mid-round break. OSW setting up an STSD over that while Savulch is down stacking with some T-spins. OSW breaks that surge pretty early on and doesn't actually send anything with it as Savulch is counting to 4 over this well, not being able to take the continuation that I think they were going for as OSW is just spamming out some speed right now, going through this down stack that is some messy garbage. So just going to be looking to get through it for now as Savulch is setting up some clean setups. They break their back-to-back as well as OSW finds that surge beginning right there, and Savulch plonks a little bit there, which, I mean, yeah, that's kind of what you got to do in this situation. I don't blame them at all for that. And OSW, in response, is building up this back-to-back 14-15 right now, sends all of it, and has a little bit of a follow-up, but Savulch is mostly staying alive. Yeah, just covers that well, and OSW is able to find the kill with the follow-up attack. All right, 6-3 up stack from OSW like he's playing TEC. Savulch with the 3-6. And OSW finds a 26 spike right there. Yep. That's how you open 6-3. That's what it's for, is that right there. More people should open 6-3. That's my opinion. All right. PCO stack versus TD opener. As Savulch has a little bit of making me nervous at the top of the board right there. And yeah, that's not where you want to be right now. Okay, has the Z spin, and yeah, I don't really think you can stay alive right there. And that's going to be another point for OSW. OSW starting to run away with this right here as we do see TKIs starting off both sides here. And OSW misdrops a Z piece, has to skim and turns it into a couple of T-spins, so not too bad. So Bulge is going to use that opportunity to find back-to-back here, and they are continuing to upstack it. They do just get rid of their surge defensively there, so not really going to do anything, as OSW has 2 T-spins ready to go. What was that? I don't even know what he was going for there. All right, so Bulge setting up some spins right here, finding that 4 back-to-back, having that surge ready to go, breaking it insta. Nothing really shows up on OSW's board except for those 2 lines of cheese at the bottom. OSW finds that 9 that's going to show up on Sebulge's board, and they are not able to hurdle the T piece over in time, which is going to give OSW that point. All right, PCO stack from both sides. Ooh, OSW with an 18 spike right there. So Bulge doesn't really have anything they can do about it. They cover the well. They can't really get out of this for now. They find the eye piece in time as OSW is just trying to spam out damage. They have the Z spin up at the top of the board, but OSW just continuing to stack over here, not really accepting too much, and finally finding the kill right there. Yeah, sometimes you just have to have the perfect stack into the well. Otherwise, you are just going to be pushed up to the top. OSW with a TD opener into a PC right there, but that's not really going to do too much to Sebulge. OSW looking for another PC, finding it. Sebulge able to defend against the entire thing because PCs are nerfed here. I do love that they made that change. I think it is very healthy for the game. I hated getting MS2'd so bad. All right, so OSW has a bit of a surge built up here, has that back-to-back advantage, and that is going to show up on Sebulge's board right here as OSW is going to continue into an 8-1 stack for a bit right there. Continuing building this right here, getting into the next well, maybe is going to break here. Nope, builds up the quads so that they don't have to break. Sends that 19 surge, and there's, yeah, not enough survival on Sebulge's side, and that is going to put OSW at match point. Another TD opener versus TKI. Finding the PC off of that, finding a second PC, and Sebulge does have some clean garbage to stack through here as OSW has looped his opener. And yeah, that's it. Yeah, there it is. OSW using the speed to his advantage there and is going to move on in this bracket to face Coldless. Yeah, so it does look like we are going to move up to our winners bracket as I do see Blarg getting ready in this lobby. So we are going to see Blarg versus Shark here. And yeah, these are our number 1 and number 2 seeds here. So it does make sense to see them up at the winners finals here. I mean, Blarg is Blarg. Everybody knows Blarg at this point. Lover of the TKI. And then Shark over here, also a very familiar name. Interestingly enough, has the higher APM by a bit between the two of them, and the higher versus score, and the higher PPS, but screen watching is ever present in this meta, and speed attack style alone isn't enough. There is a little bit of meta gaming, and you got to focus on your macro, and you know there's a lot more than those stats there. And yeah, we will be getting this match to you soon. I always love calling out the player that isn't in the lobby. Blarg's here, Shark is not, so we'll get Shark in here soon. All right, Shark is in here now, so let's see if we're going to be getting a warm-up to you or not. But yes, this is the matchup we have been waiting for. All right, so they are going to be warming up here. All right, warm up time. Here we go. Okay, so Blarg is AFK. Or lagging out, because that piece is not dropping. All right. So we're going to try to get Blarg back in the room for you guys. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna run a warm-up back once Blarg gets back in here. There we go. There he's back. Just Shark types good warm-up in the lobby chat. All right, let's see if Blarg's internet decides to stick around for warm-up number 2. All right, Blarg is in fact putting down pieces. I got confused because he's on the different side as last time, but we're here, we're ready, we're good. All right. Yeah, as you can see, both players very fast. Hope you're ready for more of that. This is some pretty messy garbage on both sides. Blarg counting to 4 through this and maintaining that back-to-back and just pushing Shark up to the top of the board. Blarg types, wait, my Tetria has no sound for some reason. I need to fix this. 1 sec. All right. Yeah, so Blarg's gonna have to figure that one out. Oh, wait, apparently that's something that has happened before. I have never had that happen to my Tetrio client, I'll say that. All right, we are going to be starting. Shark with the SDPC spin here and then misdrops that O piece, so that is going to slow them down a little bit and give Blarg a chance to build up back-to-back here. And then, oh no, that Z piece over the well is so sad, so sad. First point to Blarg. Both players with the TD opener there. And both just bursting out of this. Blarg finding the back-to-back right now, just continuing to build that up and build that pressure onto Shark's board and does send it right there, but Shark downstacks through pretty much all of it, leaving really only 3 layers of cheese for them to work with. Blarg with a 19 spike as a follow-up there is going to put some pressure on Shark's board, but leave them with a super clean well. Blarg breaks back-to-back and has that -10 on the board right now as he is appearing to try to build up back-to-back in response. Breaks the small back-to-back surge that he was able to build up. Blarg sends that 13 spike that is going to leave a couple of layers of cheese onto Shark's board. Shark finding this 9-0 stack, these Kaidons on the side right there, and has that 12 back-to-back as Blarg sees that indicator on the top of the board, -13. Blarg staying ready for that right now as Shark does send it. Blarg does have the well blocked off, and that T misdrop is going to end the round. All right, 1-1 here as Blarg opens with MKO, and we are going to see Shark on the SDPC spin right here. Some pretty clean garbage on Blarg's side right there as he does 22 spike, break the back-to-back. Shark board is not where they want to be right now. They have the eyepiece, but Blarg finds enough follow-up to take that point. All right. Identical C-spin openers from both sides right there. Blarg breaks that back-to-back first, and that isn't really going to do much to Shark, who breaks their back-to-back in a 24 spike. Blarg is able to defend against it, and so we are kind of back to the drawing board here. Shark breaks their back-to-back that they just got in a 23 spike, and that is going to push Blarg up a little bit, but no cheese on either player's board as of right now. Shark has a fractal where they don't take both T-spins and then misdrops the eye, misses the well, and that is going to be enough for Blarg to find another. MS2 versus MKO right now. Blarg is the first to find back-to-back here and has that 8 back-to-back right now. Shark is forced to break their back-to-back, which is going to leave them with a -10 on the board, as Blarg is going to continue building this up here. Blarg does break, and that does push Shark up to the top of the board, but it leaves them with a clean well and a 34 spike that Blarg is able to completely defend. And then Shark can't get into the well in time, and that's Blarg's point. That one happened. I'm not gonna lie, that one happened so fast I could not watch both boards, and so I don't fully know what went on there. But you know, that's what happens when these players are this fast. Okay, Blarg with the PCO stack and Shark with the C-spin opener. Shark breaking back-to-back first, and Blarg is also forced to break and is able to find the well in time here. And Shark has a lot of pressure coming in on the board, had the well closed, opened it up, closed it again, opened it again, is about to deal with some cheese, and Blarg is building up that back-to-back right now, finding these all spins, getting to that +8 right now, and Shark is plonking a little bit, waiting for this damage to come in. Blarg breaks back-to-back, Shark is low on the board, so they're going to be able to survive for a little bit, but Blarg's follow-up right there does find them that 5th point, as they are starting to run away with this a little bit. Shark is going to have to work really hard if they want to stay in this here. Blarg with the TKI, Shark with the C-spin opener. Blarg breaks back-to-back to defend against the opener, finds back-to-back yet again. Both players with back-to-back here. Blarg building it up a little bit faster. Okay, now they're basically tied, and both these players are just going to have a race of building back-to-back. Blarg breaks first, then Shark. Blarg pushed up to the top of the board on the down stack here, finding their way out for now. Shark has the well covered, has to think a little bit about how to get out here, does not have the pieces to continue, and yet again, Blarg pressures his way into another point. TKI versus a C-spin opener over here, and then Blarg goes into that LST that he is known for, breaks it to get an STSD in the middle of the board. Both players with those dings for that back-to-back. Both players kind of waiting, and Blarg appears to have misdropped. Doesn't really have a nice out yet, finds the out. Both players break their back-to-back and end up in a pretty similar position, both with some small spikes right now. Shark gets back-to-back. Blarg is plonking. Blarg gets back-to-back. Shark appears... I don't know if that was a misdrop or like a prophecy Z-spin, but it works out. Ooh! Blarg finding that well. T-spin, all-spin, quad is going to find that point. All right, 5-4 stack versus... Pretty sure that was SDPC spin. Didn't really look close enough. All right, so Blarg misdrops and is going to be forced to break back-to-back. Shark has a little bit of a 2-wide situation going on right here. Is going to go through it. Not too much out of it. Blarg plonking, wants more clean garbage. Finding some all spins out of this. And Shark is 8-1 stacking right now. Never the most efficient thing in the world, but makes it work with a nice 23 spike, as Blarg does find that 8 back-to-back. Going to continue building that up here, as Shark is down stacking, not really finding back-to-back of their own right now, just trying to stay ready for Blarg to send that 17, 18 now surge that he has built up. Blarg all spinning right now, decides to send that in a 24 spike, and Shark just cannot do anything about it. All right, C-spin opener versus PCO stacking here with some all spins. Going to push Shark up at the top of the board with some clean garbage to get into. Blarg sending that 23 spike with that surge. Shark gets through it, but has quite a mess of a board to deal with here as Blarg continues stacking and misdrops an L piece. And that is going to be Shark's 2nd point here in this first 2-11. All right, more MS2 versus PCO stack, and Blarg misdrops the eyepiece over the well. Oh, and the misdrops. Oh my gosh. Okay, and another point for Shark after Blarg. There's a couple of misdrops at the top of the board. MS2 versus TKI. As Shark finds a 24 stack and then misdrops. Blarg is plonking maybe right now, waiting for that attack to come in, but both players just playing very cleanly. Okay, Blarg finding that back-to-back where Shark does not have back-to-back right now, so that's going to start showing up on the board. Shark with a nice 6-3 well to get into for a sec now, and Blarg is at the bottom of the board with not too much clean to work with so far. Plonking to try to get more clean to work with. Both players break their back-to-back, and a little bit of cheese ends up on Shark's board. Blarg with this 7-2 stack right now, and even getting the 7-2 garbage to complete the 7-2 stack, and both players want garbage, so both players stop. And so, no, Blarg misdrops again. So that is a third round in a row for Shark here, but Blarg can definitely pull this back. This is definitely an uphill battle for Shark, but the way that Blarg has played these past few rounds, I mean, if that continues, then yeah, that's... Ooh, that was brutal. The 28 spike there from Shark is, I mean, arguably going to bring them back into this at this point. All right, TKI, MS2, PC from Blarg, continuing the stack. Ooh, the DT into C-spin with the garbage there from Blarg is bold, and that is going to be a... yeah, that surge doesn't really do anything on a Shark's board right there. Blarg waiting, plonking. Shark up the top of the board with a nice 14 spike, building a DT of their own, and yeah, you don't have the kick for that, and that is going to be that round. SDPC spin over from Shark's side. Blarg is going to break back-to-back in favor of the combo down stack here. And yeah, you're going to see that -9. Oh, yeah. Okay, so Blarg finds the down stack. Okay, I was just about to say that that was not looking good for Blarg, but ooh, yeah, a little bit of a miss stack right there. And Shark is going to have the opportunity to take advantage of this here. They're finding some all spins. Instead of going straight for the kill, maybe trying to build up that surge, but are forced to release it as Blarg pressures, and that's a lot of cheese on a Shark's board. They get through the first half of it as Blarg misdrops a Z piece, and okay, continues to misdrop, and that is going to be another point for Shark here, keeping this close. Yeah, being able to capitalize off of Blarg's misdrops is definitely the most straightforward way to win this matchup. More MS2 from Shark, and then the 31 spike in the follow-up brings them to 7-9 here. Yeah, Blarg has to start tightening this up if he wants to stay in winner's side here, but both players fighting back-to-back early. Blarg breaks it and is plonking right now. Shark is just finding some all spins here, continuing to build up that back-to-back. Blarg keeping that well access so that that spike there from Shark doesn't really do much. Not too much follow-up there. Shark at the bottom of the board here just finding some T-spins as Blarg finds that quick back-to-back and sends it. And then, yeah, Shark sends that back-to-back, and that is not where you want to be if you're Blarg. Blarg lives for now, but that is an insane board to deal with and just does not get through the cheese race. And Shark continues climbing in this set. I mean, very much respect Blarg as a player, but this is not the easiest place to be mentally, I can imagine. Oh, yeah, Blarg not finding that PC because of the tiny bit of garbage incoming. Shark with an STSC at the bottom of the board. Always got to respect that there's a 1 in 10 chance you're not going to be able to do that if your opponent sends garbage. Blarg with a 25 spike, and then misdrops again is looking to I-spin to fix this. And okay, that is kind of a fix. It's not what he was going for, but Shark is in a 9-0 stack right here, finding some back-to-back, turning it into a 2-7 LST as Blarg is slowing down a little bit here, a little bit of hesitation to find these spins right now. Shark is just building these up. Look at that 16. That goes all the way to Blarg's board. Blarg does downstack through it, but at a little bit of a cost here as that board is not ideal. And yeah, that is actually going to bring us to tied here. Shark has been able to find so much momentum in these past few points as Blarg has just continued to misdrop his way into certain death. And there's going to be the MS2 spike there, not going to do much to Blarg, as Blarg has that 9 back-to-back and then misdrops the eyepiece over the well and just tops out. Yeah, that's definitely not a good sign. It's not an easy thing to be in this situation. Yeah, and so okay, yeah, so that's how Blarg's feeling. But Blarg still has the opportunity to work through losers bracket here. Yeah, sometimes you just get in your own head a little bit, and that's what's going on there. But Blarg is definitely gonna take a minute, and we are going to move down into that losers bracket, and we will see both of them play again later. Yeah. All right, so not too much of this bracket left. And yep, now we are down in losers bracket and we have OSW versus Cold. We can see adjacent seating here, very similar APM, OSW with the PPS advantage there as we would expect, almost identical versus scores. These players are very closely matched. Sorry, I'm just asking for more water. All right, so we are going to get this match to you soon. We have both players in the lobby. And we will see if the players want to warm up. OSW types, I don't need warm up to coldless. Okay. And then coldless types, I'm okay. All right. I heard OSW was in some TL matches. Not just now, but earlier. I was seeing in the Twitch chat somebody saying that they matched against OSW. So OSW definitely staying warm here. And we are off as we have a PCO stack from Coldless and OSW with an actual quad PC to start off their round. And this is a 6-3 up stack from OSW as Coldless is finding more of these spins, slowing down, a little bit of plonking here at the bottom of the board. And OSW sends a 27 spike. Cold has well access, but no eyepiece for the next well there. And that is going to be first point for OSW. Okay, so OSW starting off the round with a couple of misdrops while Coldless is setting up this, misdrops the SDPC spin. And so both players kind of starting off in an odd spot, and Cold misdrops another piece, gets into the well, and both players are pretty much back and stable. OSW does find that back-to-back, is forced to break it at the top of the board. Very nice, clean well waiting for OSW here, whereas Cold's board is not as welcoming. They do get out of the top of the board into the more easy to work with part of it. OSW stacking on top of the garbage here as this 13 spike from Coldless is going to force him to break. All right, Cold up at the top of the board here. Yeah, that piece isn't really going to help you much. That piece isn't either. And yeah, that's just going to be the round. Second round for OSW. TKIs from both sides. Both going into an LST stack. We have the 2-7 versus 7-2. Thank you for the water. And we have a 20 spike from Coldless, but a misdrop over the well. And so Coldless is going to be forced to slow down a little bit. Another misdrop from their side is going to slow them down yet again. And that puts a lot of cheese onto Cold's board. They're going to have to stack through that, but OSW sends a 24 spike into a 13 spike. Yeah, that is going to close out that round. Cold with the SDP C-spin and OSW with the C-spin opener. A little bit of a misdrop from OSW, but they're able to combo down stack it there, defend against the garbage right there, and that is a -8 on OSW's board. Cold is spamming out these T-spins, but they do misdrop a Z-piece that's going to create some holes on their board. They're trying to fix this without breaking back-to-back. Eventually do break back-to-back here as OSW is trying to build up count to 4 over these wells right here. Finds well access without breaking that back-to-back there as just sends a 35 spike. Yeah, okay, so Cold does not have the pieces ready for that 35 spike. Wow. All right, OSW finding an all clear in the middle of that. Building up a fractals. Cold is at the top of the board, building up with some all spins. They do break, their OSW breaks back-to-back. That does send over to Cold's board. Cold is handling this pretty well right now, slowing down as OSW is building up this back-to-back yet again. Cold is just trying to play defense, stay down stacked, and doing a really good job of it so far. Ooh, okay, OSW breaks back-to-back. Cold is able to defend against most of it. Little bit of hesitation there makes me wonder if they misdropped. They get through it for now, just in time, as they do have a bit of cheese on their board, and OSW is just continuing to upstack here. Okay, and Cold finds the cheese on OSW's board right there. And OSW is going to continue stacking on top of this cheese, but you're going to have to address it at some point. And OSW chooses now. T-spins into it right now, and then, yeah, just trying to find that combo down stack, and that's going to put some cheese on a Cold's board. Cold working through their board right now, and OSW with a little bit of hesitancy there, and all right, finding the down stack. Both players finding their rhythm right now. And OSW with some fast back-to-back buildup and that 17 spike in the middle of that there. Cold now has that -9 on their board just staring at them. And yeah, OSW does send. That is going to be a little bit messy, but not too ridiculous over here. But yeah, Cold just not having the pieces. The O piece in hold is just like, sometimes that is the last piece you want there. Sometimes you're like, oh, any piece would get me out of this except for the O piece, and you look at what you have there, that's just, it's just over. Like, you just can't do anything about that. All right, both players finding that back-to-back. OSW counting to 4. Cold with a little bit of a mess on their board, and yeah, they misdropped that S piece. And yeah, OSW with the sweep so far, but definitely time for Coldest to come back, as we, you know, saw in that last set there. Both players with the PC to start. OSW looking for another one, finds it, but not in time. All right, so Cold with the advantage in Surge right now, and all right, sends it over to OSW. OSW at the top of the board. OSW with the 14 combo down stack right there. Not really affecting Cold too much, as they do find a 17, 19, 22 down stack of their own. Appears to misdrop that JPs. That's going to slow them down a little bit, as OSW is going to be looking to build back-to-back again here. Cold with a nice wall on their board, and OSW is pushed up to the top right now. Definitely going to have to think creatively here on this down stack. Greeds for a quad, which is insane. Ooh, yeah. Cold just does not have the eye piece in time. Just one piece too late in the queue, and OSW finds a 7th consecutive point. All right. OSW misdrops MS2. Finds a way out of it before Cold can kill. Cold with some all spins here. Does not break back-to-back on the way. That is some clean stacking. It is got to be so nerve-wracking to just be trying to back-to-back stack at the top of the board. But not enough for them on that round. Yeah, I admire the back-to-back stacking on the top of the board. Working out, just playing confident for Coldless right there. But yeah, OSW speed is just so hard to play against. Both players with the TKI into LST. A little bit of ponking from Cold's side right there, and OSW misdrops an L piece, and that is going to force him to break back-to-back. Cold breaks soon after, and that is going to leave a little bit of cheese on OSW's board, but not too much to handle there. Cold is just stacking over this nice garbage well, and that is such a great continuation into that 28 spike. That is just such a good find there from Cold, and that is going to be their first point here. So put the brooms away. No sweep here. STPC spin from Cold. OSW with the 7-2 stack, but there's going to... Oh, no, that misdrop from OSW. Cold is able to find a 20 spike with their Surge garbage and is going to find a second point with that. OSW misdrops MS2 again. And Cold has the SDPC spin going again. OSW finding a way to downstack that doesn't break back-to-back is very creative there. Counting to 4 as Cold breaks their back-to-back and suddenly has a -10 on their board. Yeah, that quick build up there from OSW is very nice and is going to put him 2 points away from the end of this set here. So this is losers semi-finals. So winner of this does play Blarg. So definitely not a very easy opponent on the other side for them. Both building up that back-to-back. We hear those dings on both sides. Cold breaks back-to-back first. OSW keeps back-to-back and is going to have to break right there. Not exactly the stack that he wanted, and is going to leave a little bit of cheese on his board. Down stack here from OSW. Down stack from Coldless. Both players at the bottom of their board. OSW pushes Coldless up a little bit. There's the combo down stack from Cold that's going to keep them in a very nice state here, having a nice floating T-spin setup, and OSW has this 11 back-to-back, continuing this with these all spins. Ooh, just thought that he could stack quickly enough there, and that is what tops out OSW, yeah. I like having the game up on one monitor and the Twitch stream up on the other, because sometimes if someone dies and I didn't see why, I can figure it out because I have like a 1 second delay on the Twitch stream. That's what happened there. All right, so OSW with a 15 spike at the beginning of this. Both players have no surge right now. OSW looking to build it back up with this cut copy. Misdrops again, and yeah, that is going to be the round. Coldless mirroring this last set a little bit, creeping up on OSW here, but I think the mental game is a little bit different for these two. OSW finds a PC, looks for another one, and then misdrops the T-piece. All right, Coldless with a 13 spike turns into a 20 spike with the surge, and then OSW fails to... Yeah, that's a misdrop. That was... He definitely meant to rotate that piece, and yeah. Coldless still has a lot to come back from here, but it is getting more and more doable with every point. We have TKIs from both sides. Coldless blonks their TKI, knowing that OSW will send his faster. OSW with a combo down stack here. Continues to combo with an 18 spike, and Cold is pretty much unaffected by that. Some nice all spins to try to build up back-to-back here. Little bit of plonking action. Both players find that back-to-back. Both players break it. It leaves a little bit of cheese on OSW's side, not too much on Coldless' side. Some all-spin action from Cold as they do find a 15 spike. OSW sends that surge and has a lot of messy garbage at the bottom of the board right now. Cold sends even more messy garbage as OSW sets up a 4-wide, maybe not finding the combo that he was looking for out of it, but still cheeses Cold's board. Definitely a noticeable... OSW, what? Oh my god. Those misdrops there. All right, Cold is pushed up at the top of the board, does find their way into that next well, down to a reasonable spot on their board. OSW working through a little bit of cheese there, sending a little bit of cheese with this, and ooh, that misdrop on the T-piece there is not what OSW meant to do, and they do have an out right there. Very nice, clean out right there. Definitely has to break back-to-back for that, but still very clean way to open up that well, as Cold is stacking these T-spins over the well right now. Some all spins right there and finds a nice 20 spike out of this. And that is going to be another point for Coldless. If you're OSW, you're sweating right now. You're sweating a little bit. I think that OSW is less likely to completely top out than Blarg is, but we'll see. Okay, so OSW is looping MS2 right now. as Cold is pretty much unaffected by it. Finds a nice spike out of it. Cold with a little bit of hesitation, finds the back-to-back, immediately breaks it. As OSW is continuing to build their back-to-back, finds that 9 right there. As Cold finds that 15 spike, OSW does not break back-to-back. Little bit of slowing down from OSW here, but counts to 4, finds that next well, 14, 15, make that 16, as OSW has the speed to continue, and yeah, you need to break that, buddy. Okay, there it is. Into a 29 spike, and yeah, Cole just cannot get out of that one. That's going to bring it to match point for OSW. MS2 versus SCPC spin here. OSW breaks that back-to-back. Cold is 6-3 stacking up their board right now. Very little garbage visible, and there's one garbage on their board as OSW has that -10, -11 sitting on their board right now as Cold is building up that back-to-back spike. OSW is just trying to pressure and keep well access. Ooh, and Cold sends that 17 spike while OSW's well is covered, but he has enough to get through it. Counting to 4, keeping the well open. Cold with an 11 spike right there. A little bit of cheese onto Cold's board. Going for that up stack, and ooh, that's a very nice continuation to find that T-spin as OSW has a hole on the board that he's definitely going to have to fix. Speaking of holes on the board, Cold has a little bit of cheese coming up in this queue right now and finds their way through all of it. Very nice clean while waiting for them. OSW with a combo down stack here gets pushed up by Cold's attack. Cold just finding that, okay, finding the all spins into the down stack. And OSW finds enough attack. Yeah, just a little bit of hesitation there from Cold is going to top them out. And OSW does find the closer there. So is going to move on and play Blarg. This could be interesting. Okay, OSW is going to take a moment. Never mind. Leaves the lobby and then comes right back in as he realizes that his match is next. All right. Blarg versus OSW here. No warm-up needed. We are starting. We are getting this match to you now. All right, so this will be an interesting mental game. I'm going to assume that Blarg has reset and we're good now. So OSW starts this off with a 17 spike. Blarg has that back-to-back, that 10, sends that surge, and that is going to slow down OSW a little bit. Never mind, OSW setting up an Imperial Cross at the top of the board because that's what he does. All right, and so Blarg is not able to find a way down into that well, and that is going to be first point for OSW here. TKIs on both sides. Blarg with a little bit of plonking here, knows that he can plonk against OSW. Both players with that 8, 9, 10 back-to-back, building it up at a very similar rate. OSW with a 19 spike in there, not really going to do too much to Blarg, who sends that 18 surge. OSW responds with that 17 surge, both kind of using that defensively, and Blarg misdrops a T-spin, which is going to slow him down a little bit, does not open the well and find the eyepiece in time. OSW tops him out and finds a second point here. Don't know if OSW misdropped that right there. It looked like MS2 for a second, but whenever a player breaks back-to-back, I assume that they misdropped their opener. 23, 29 spike from 46 spike from OSW, and Blarg is alive right now. OSW misdropped and is not able to fix the misdrop in time. That was a pretty bad misdrop. That was pretty high up on the board. Wow. TKIs on both sides. Into a 7-2 LST on both sides. Okay, OSW has a misdrop that just like forms a fractal, so it's okay. Blarg sends a 21 spike. OSW breaks back-to-back there with a 19 spike. That's going to come in pretty clean onto Blarg's side, and Blarg is going to find his way into this next well, and we're doing a little bit of plonking action and you know, we're doing that thing. Thank you for not waiting 10 years. And OSW some really nice finds into that back-to-back. Both players break. There's a little bit of cheese on Blarg's board as he is on a bit of a down stack right now. Yeah, both players just finding that efficiency. Nice clean stacking on both sides here. Blarg with some all spins and sends a 34 spike, which is, yeah, the initial spike is, oh, okay. I thought the follow-up was going to kill OSW there. And okay, a little bit of a misdrop on Blarg's side forces him to break back-to-back, but that back-to-back does come in as complete cheese, or maybe even the follow-up to the back-to-back comes in as complete cheese on OSW's board. So this round is going to continue. OSW is going to be slowed down a little bit. Blarg does find that back-to-back. OSW is going to have to use his speed here to get into this next well, finds it, finds the quad, but there is that immediate -8 on the board. OSW with a 24 spike. Blarg breaks back-to-back, misdrops an S piece, but has another one ready to go, and so is completely unfazed by that. OSW is a little bit of cheese coming up on the board. It's definitely looking to, not break back-to-back, getting through it, but does break back-to-back anyway, sends that surge. Little bit of cheese on Blarg's board. Both players, wow, almost 2-minute round. Both players playing so strong there. Amazing stacking, amazing speed from both sides. OSW just finds the final push to top Blarg out right there. MS2 versus PCO stacking. OSW finds the PC, goes for an STSD, and that, okay, OSW's board state is stressing me out. Okay, I was going to say, I don't really think you can fix that one in time, especially not with Blarg on the other side. And Blarg does find a second point here. All right, a little bit of plonking from Blarg's side here. Blarg does send that first back-to-back surge. OSW sends a 14 spike here. Both players going to break surge right now. Blarg plonking a little bit, and yeah, not really too much out of that plonk right there. Sometimes you just want more garbage on your board. Especially since OSW's really mainly been setting clean here. Some players have strategically been breaking their back-to-backs early so that they can cheese their opponent's board. And yeah, OSW's been going full speed this whole time, so. Ooh, Blarg not able to open up that well, just that, well, there's that one row of cheese on the board. If it wasn't for that one row of cheese, Blarg would have been able to get into that well, and that entire point would have been different. OSW with the all clear. You're looking for another one, not finding it. Finding the back-to-back here. Both players with that back-to-back. OSW sends a small surge there with a 13 spike. Blarg sends his surge. OSW not able to get into the well in time. Keeping this a close game so far. PCO stack from Blarg. C-spin opener from OSW. Nice little opening spike from OSW. OSW breaks back-to-back there, so that is going to allow Blarg some leeway here. Blarg breaks back-to-back in a 22 spike, sets up an STSD at the bottom of the board here, does not get 1 in 10. Always running the risk of that. And 1-8 stacking from Blarg here. OSW has 11 back-to-back, breaks that. Blarg breaks back-to-back. It ends up with a little bit of damage on OSW's board. There's a little bit of cheese, so that is going to potentially slow OSW down a little bit. Blarg with some hesitancy with these all spins right now, finds the combo down stack on the board, continues down stacking here as OSW is also breaking back-to-back. So neither player really going for that back-to-back build right now. Blarg with a couple of holes on the board. OSW finds back-to-back, and Blarg, yeah, has that Z miss drop at the top of the board, which can't really do anything about that one. TKIs into LSTs. OSW misdrops, is forced to break the LST. Blarg continues with that LST. Still LSTing. Blarg still not in the garbage. Finds the garbage right there. OSW is the -11 on the top of the board. No well access now. And yeah, that gets into the first well. Does not have access to that second well. And that's enough to give Blarg another point. MS2 versus PCO. Blarg finds the PC and then is gifted a 7-2 well for more LST shenanigans. OSW breaks back to back. Blarg is still LSTing. OSW also moves into a 7-2 stack and is kind of ignoring the garbage. All right, OSW counts to 4, gets into the garbage. Blarg, oh, there's the ding. All right, Blarg sends a 35 spike, 37. Can't do anything about that one, especially when your well has 2 Minos on top of him. We're all tied up. A little bit of a hesitant TKI from OSW's side. Both players finding that back-to-back. OSW with a 19 spike. Blarg breaking that back-to-back and a small spike. Blarg misdrops a Z piece there and is going to put himself in an uncomfortable situation, but the down stack gets out of it. OSW with a 16 spike pushes Blarg up on the board, but that is some very clean garbage. Blarg working through this really well and finding that 11 spike on the down stack, continuing building up back-to-back here with an all spin right there. OSW also going to be looking to set up back-to-back here, but is pushed up to the top of the board. Blarg with a 26 spike releasing their back-to-back. OSW releasing theirs with a 19. Blarg's up at the top of the board here. Not the most ideal spot. Gets into the first few wells and then misdrops an eyepiece. Yeah, that gives OSW another point. The eyepiece misdrop at the top of the board is always just so tragic to see. MS2 versus Freestyle. If that is an opener, I've never seen it before. OSW with some PCs looping this MS2 right here is not going to be able to find another PC because Blarg's garbage has finally gotten through. Ooh, OSW at the top of the board here finds some survival for now, but still not in a good spot. Finding a down stack for now, has the way out, and Blarg is still pressuring. Look at that setup, and ooh, yeah, the eye misdrop is going to force Blarg to break back to back. Might be enough, but no, does not kill OSW. OSW still stacking, relatively unfazed, finds that back to back, is going to have to break right there, and has a nice small down stack. Blarg with a 17 spike to release Surge before getting into a little bit of cheesy garbage at the bottom of the board. Blarg creating a little bit of cheese, most likely accidentally, as OSW is stacking up some T-spins at the bottom of the board. Blarg has a little bit of messy garbage to work through. OSW sets up an STSD. And yeah, this is just very, very back and forth here in this round as we reach the 1 minute mark. Blarg accepts a little bit of garbage, has to break back to back there. OSW breaks back to back up at the bottom of the board, but yeah, gets a lot of garbage incoming anyways. And can OSW get out of this? Finds the eyepiece in time. Blarg's at the bottom of the board, just trying to find more damage there on the OSW side. And OSW sends some really clean garbage. Blarg gets into that next well, breaks back to back along the way. OSW with a 12 spike here. Blarg with a 17 spike on a down stack, and OSW misdrops a T-spin, and that is going to be enough to give Blarg the point. I gotta take a breath after that one. All right, MS2 versus PCO stack, and OSW finds the PC off of the MS2, and Blarg misdrops. Yeah, not able to fix that up at the top there, and that finds OSW a quick point. All right, starting off with some T-spins towards the bottom of the board here. Blarg is being gifted 2-7 garbage and is just LST stacking over it. OSW breaks back to back and has a down stack ready for Blarg's back to back break in response, but that's a little bit of messy garbage on OSW's board. Blarg with more 2-7 garbage, going to continue using that to his advantage, and definitely going to be building on top of the garbage for a little bit right here. Is not a lot is coming out of Blarg's board. Blarg plonks, breaks back to back, and OSW at the top of the board here has the out, has the eyepiece in time. Will it be enough? Blarg trying to still close out with more and more damage here. Not enough. Blarg with that back-to-back 10 breaks it in a 17 spike. OSW down stacking through it, finds a 12 spike there in response. It feels like a lot of these spikes are smaller because they're partially used for defense here, so not too many of the 47 spikes that we saw earlier, but both players kind of at the bottom of the board, stacking of their own volition now, and Blarg misdrops a little bit. That's not going to be too difficult to get around, just kind of stacking over it, and that's a very nice all spins continuation. However, OSW finds all spins of their own into 12 back-to-back. That is such a bold STSD to set up OSW with a 33 spike. Oh, you could just see the tiny misdropped J piece there from Blarg that would have opened up that next well, and that is insane there. Both players opening with a pretty similar speed here, and Blarg misdrops a T-spin into that STSD, going to be forced to break back-to-back. OSW breaks as well. Blarg 3-6 up stacking. Sends a 33 spike that OSW just does not have the pieces to handle. That came out of nowhere. Such a good down stack right there. PCO stack versus C-spin opener into a PC. OSW looking for the next PC. Getting a nice 5-4. Well, that works well with the stack that they already have. OSW with an early 21 spike here, keeping their back-to-back while doing it. So that is going to put the -11 onto Blarg's board. And OSW breaks it with a 25 spike. And Blarg is not able to get into the well in time. Mind you, we're on loser's side right now. I just want to remind everybody of that this is the loser side of the bracket. Yes, this is losers finals, but this is insane. All right, so Blarg push up at the top of the board here is going to, or no, sorry, I looked at the wrong sides. We're back. Both players at the bottom of the board here. Both players finding that back-to-back ding at about the same time. Blarg misdrops, doesn't really see an out, and OSW is at match point. This is definitely doable for Blarg. Not easy, but it's possible. Ooh, okay. Blarg misdrops a T-spin there and is going to find a down stack. Finds a 19 spike right there. OSW with a 14 spike in response. A 25-31 now. OSW gets through the messy garbage that's on the board and, okay, breaks back-to-back and is up at the top of the board and just does not find the P sequence to get out. Blarg stays alive. TKIs. LSTing. Blarg with a 16 spike right at the beginning. OSW is going to be able to absorb that, and that comes in as pretty clean on his board. Blarg with a 20 spike to push OSW to the top again, and a misdrop from Blarg finds, yeah, not enough right there, and OSW is going to be coming out of this loser's bracket right here to face Shark. What an insane matchup. That is an exciting matchup, and I'm just getting over the fact that is a losers bracket matchup, but losers finals, winner going back up to face Shark. But yeah, wow, we've been blessed with some exciting matches today, and we have another one ready for you here. Shark versus OSW. OSW probably needs a little bit of break. I know I would at this point, but that's just me. Whereas Shark did have a bit of a break here. So you can see the stats here pretty similar. Shark with the efficiency edge over OSW. I mean, we talk about OSW's speed, but if you look at the speed gap there is none. There is none. You can see the efficiency gap through the APM and the versus score there. And all right, we are definitely going to get this to you in just a moment, but yeah, OSW is in the room, and Shark is in the spectator spot, so that probably means that we're going to get this started soon, asking players if they would like a warm-up. Yeah, okay, looks like we are going to have a warm-up here, as Shark's hands are likely a little bit cold. All right, and it looks like our players are ready for warm-up here. I just got a Discord message from OSW that said time to die, LOL. All right, so now we know where OSW is at on that one. But okay, he has won this matchup before, so... But the stamina game is something to be considered here. I'm sorry, I'm still laughing over that. All right, OSW takes the warm-up. All right, time to go. All right, we are here. Grand finals with Shark on the winner's side, OSW on the loser's side here. So, all right, we see STP C-Spin versus MS2. Some C-Spins on both sides as, okay, OSW is at a little bit of an awkward spot at the top of the board. Both players down stacking. A little bit of cheese in OSW's queue right now, getting through it really well. Shark finding that back-to-back in that 9-0 stack and slowing down a little bit to keep that back-to-back, breaking it even with the cheese on the board. And OSW misdropping that Z piece over to the side. He's going to seal his fate. All right, C-Spin openers from both sides. OSW misdrops the PC. You have the right pieces, just one more button. One more button. All right, OSW finds the first back-to-back here, pushes Shark up to the top of the board. Shark finds a 13 spike. OSW's not in a great spot, breaks their back-to-back, able to get out of it in time, but Shark is continuing to layer on the damage, finding a nice spike there, and OSW's up at the top with some pretty messy cheese underneath their stack. Shark is staying pretty low on the board for now, kind of just waiting for that damage to come in, and that damage does come in the form of cheese, and so Shark is going to combo downstack this here, finding a 15, and OSW is going to be stacking on top of the garbage, breaks the back-to-back for the combo right there, only to be greeted with more cheese on the board. Shark is going to get a lot of clean garbage here from OSW, and OSW is a little bit of a rough situation on the board. Looks potentially self-imposed, but gets through it, and Shark is just finding these all spins to continue this back-to-back, building that up 11 versus 6 right now. And so OSW is just spamming out that attack. Both players break their back-to-back and almost nothing happens. OSW misdrops an S piece over the well, is slowed down a little bit trying to, oh my God, that Z piece. Yeah, no, nothing there. Second point to Shark. MS2 versus SDPC spin. Shark with a nice TST over here, just kind of taking things slow for now. OSW pushing them up to the top of the board as they see the SZT right there. Yeah, that's not really going to help you get down there. Shark just did not have an I piece soon enough in the queue with pieces that they could work with to downstack that. And so first point to OSW, Shark is going to be throwing us the MS2 now. Starts with an early 18 spike from that opener, and OSW is just LSTing on top of the garbage, because what else would you do when you're being hit with an MS2 from the other side? Misdrops a Z piece right there and is going to be forced up at the top of the board for a little bit. Combo down stack from OSW, but Shark is just layering on these all spin minis and plonking a little bit. Shark has a little bit of cheese to work through here, is going to try to do that now. OSW, that board is just not easy to deal with. Shark is definitely sending messier garbage than OSW just saw in that previous matchup, which, I mean, yeah, it makes sense. The play styles are just different there, and that's something that you just got to adapt to. So OSW misdrops. Pretty nice fix with that. Okay, so Shark misdrops as well and has some all spins to get out of it, but not able to fully keep back-to-back there as OSW sends and breaks that back-to-back just so quickly. Maybe just trying to feed Shark a little bit of their own medicine, cheesing up the board. And speaking of cheese, looks like OSW is some that may have been self-imposed and then adds to it with that S misdrop. Shark is building up this back-to-back here with a 7-2 stack. OSW up at the top of the board, finds a little bit of survival, misdrops a T-piece, has an all-spin fix, messes up the board a little bit, but look at this stack from Shark, this 16 surge built up here. That 37 spike is going to send OSW to the top. Could really only defend like 2/3 of it. But that's what happens when you build up enough back-to-back there. MS2 from Shark. OSW with just straight up an LST stack. Breaks back-to-back there. Shark gets that back-to-back first. Appeared to look like they were trying to do an L-spin mini right there, but that one doesn't work. And OSW misdrops a T-spin. Is that going to be the round? No, yes. Okay. 4 points for Shark here, who again is on the winner side. OSW is playing for a bracket reset here. TKI. A Shark, I'm pretty sure they, like, whenever someone slows down like that, I think they misdrop their first piece, and OSW is just misdropping a little bit or stacking over the wall. Not entirely sure what's going on over there, but Shark is pushed up to the top of the board, finds a 19 down stack from that. That's going to leave a little bit of cheese on OSW's board, and Shark's board is very clean right now, setting up a very nice cut copy over there and well transferring so well and setting up another cut copy. This is some just like textbook clean stacking as OSW is that -8 on the board. Definitely trying to be ready for this, and Shark sends it in the form of a 34 spike, and OSW just barely not able to live. Yeah, the follow-up from Shark there was just what he needed to top out OSW. MS2 from Shark's side. OSW finding a PC there. Going for another one, but garbage coming in too quickly from Shark to find anything. Shark being dealt a little bit of 9-0 garbage here and then swaps to an 0-9, interestingly enough, as OSW is just LSTing on top of the garbage, and a 32 spike goes Shark's way, but they're up at the bottom, or they're at the bottom of the board, so they have a lot of room to work with, a lot of runway, and they are able to live there. And OSW needs to downstack through this cheese right now as Shark is finding back-to-back, finding some all spins, transferring out of that 9-0 stack into that 2-7, definitely going to be LSTing, even being dealt that 2-7 garbage, and OSW does not find the well in time. And Shark nearing the halfway point of this set. MS2 versus SDPC spin. OSW had to break back-to-back there. Don't know if it was a misdrop or just trying to find the PC solve, but finds that back-to-back again. Shark going a little bit slow here. Maybe screen watching a bit. OSW now has this 13 back-to-back and misdrops, but finds a way to oh, yeah, you got to break that. And that's not a good board state for OSW. Shark is going to try to take advantage of this, but OSW finds the eyepiece in the queue in time, sets up a nice cut copy into a 32 spike, and continues stacking just in case Shark lives. Shark would have lived if not for the follow-up there from OSW, and that is going to be a second point. TKI versus MS2 here. It's funny that both players are doing MS2, but like only on completely different bags. Like where OSW sees an MS2, Shark has been seeing SCPC spin, and where Shark has been seeing MS2, OSW has been doing TKI. All right. 18 spike there from Shark, 19 spike back from OSW, and Shark's board is not an ideal spot. They get through the holes that they had to make to save themselves. Still working through this. A little bit of kind of awkward silence there from both sides. All right, and Shark is back out of it, and OSW is continuing this back-to-back here. Has 7. Has 9, is likely going to have to break soon, sends that kite on, breaks, is at the top of the board, has a little bit of a down stack, but is it going to be enough? OSW stays alive for now, but finds the eyepiece that he needs to downstack through this, and Shark is going to try to build up that back-to-back again, breaks that pretty early on, sends a little bit of cheese OSW's way, and continues to stack at the bottom of the board here. A lot more T-spinning than all spinning going on right now for that back-to-back build-up, very much looking Season 1-esque in the lack of all spins. And OSW is not the best spot at the top of the board, messes up a Z spin and does not have their way out. They had the beginning of that, but not quite. Oh, now they're both MS. Well, no, that's not even MS2 from OSW side. I don't even know which one that was. One of the C-spin openers. All right, that is a lot of cheese on OSW's board, as Shark is the first one to break back-to-back. OSW still needing to skim a little bit here, trying to find their way out of that, not seeing what they need to continue, and that's going to be an 8th point in Shark's favor. Shark only 3 points away from this win here, and these sweet, sweet TWC points. No. OSW. No. Not the eye Mistral. That's fatigue. I'm calling that's fatigue. OSW misrotates the Imperial Cross there. And Shark combo down stacks right here. It was potentially looking for all spins, but just kind of choosing to continue on. Little bit of cheese on OSW's board. He breaks back-to-back and starts stacking through it. And there's a 26 spike from Shark that OSW is just not going to be able to handle. And this is tournament point for Shark right here. Are you TST towering? Oh my god. All right, so... All right, yeah, that is going to be it for Shark. OSW finds the TST tower and not much else in that round. That, yeah, definitely was a little bit of a Hail Mary play there, but what can you do when you are down 10-2? And that is it, folks. That is our tournament. You have Shark as your champion here, and yeah. So thank you guys for being here. It's been an exciting weekend for tournaments for sure. And so this is the close of this. I'm gonna look around at like the next upcoming events here, hide completed events. Okay, so there are a lot of opportunities for players to earn TWC points coming up this month. Some of our first gold tournaments are going to be happening in the next couple weeks, but oh yeah, Iris. Iris is our charity tournament here at Hummingbird Nest. And yeah, this is a duos tournament. So there is a channel for finding a team in the Discord. Definitely join if you are interested in it. And this is going to be, it's going to be a very exciting tournament. I cannot wait to see this. Yeah. Iris 3. All right, and we do have donation goals here. You can read them off. Wiley draws players accurately. Commentators wear made out. I like that that's 420 and not 400. We already hit our first goal. Ooh, raffle supporter to 1 duo. Very exciting. Yeah, so there is the QR code to donate right there. And yeah, I believe it is a mental health organization. So very, very nice organization. I've read a little bit into it, and yeah, definitely going to be considering donating to that as well. Donor with the highest contribution gets to design an SSL gimmick. Ooh, and we have these keychains. Those are cute. I do like those. There's the link to buy these keychains in chat. Yes, support Hummingbird Nest. I like the hollow effect on those. That is really cute. I like that the picture was able to capture that. Very cute. Very cute. Any raid suggestions? Who's in the category? No one that I follow. Chat, you got anything? Let me click more on my... It feels like there's a lot of Tetris people streaming Variety right now. And then Wumbo on PPT. So, chat, you got anything? Wumbo, yeah? All right, we will say hi to the Tizer himself. But yeah, thank you guys for being here, and we will I see Radiant is March 21st. Yeah, so and then okay, so this is March 21st as well. Very fun, very cool. Yeah, so thank you guys for being here. Adios.